So I'm going to start off with the 2024 Idea-ology Halloween collection. We're going to go through and talk about the new embellishments, the new papers. I'll talk about some of the stuff that came back. It's going to be really a lot of creative play, creative fun. I always like to put this in the opening shot. The muffin tin, I say every time I do. I fill a vintage muffin tin every season with some of the seasonal trinkety bits. I even have some party hats that I made last year that I threw in here. You know, creepy eyes, just stuff because I feel that, well, besides that this looks fun, so I do encourage you, even if you're not into vintage, get some little divider, little organizer, and fill it with a few little trinkets, because I think that if it's out, you're more apt to grab something and use it. Maybe it's on a make or a card or something like that, but that's just my opinion. I think when it comes to little surfaces, little elements, you can also put these in containers and compartments and all sorts of things. But yeah, the infamous muffin tin. Okay, so let's just talk about the new Idea-ology stuff. I'm going to go through it fairly quickly. So if you feel like I'm going too fast, it's for a reason, because the makes are going to, I think, talk more about the detail of each of the elements. Now, it is a mix of new and returning items when it comes to the collection. So I have, gosh, it's a whole pile here. I've got this. I'm just going to blast through it. All right, we're ready to go. All right, so things that returned this year, things that came back that have been in for previous years. First, mummy cloth, a favorite. It is a natural gauze that you can ink and wrap around things. So you'll see mummy cloth used. It's just one of my favorites because it just comes in strips and it's easy to do. So I'm happy that that made it back another year. Tiny lights. We do have tiny lights in the everyday line. Typically they are white clear lights that's in the everyday line. So for Halloween, we have a strand of purple and a strand of green. Bubbles, these came back. These are clear acrylic spheres that can be alcohol inked. These are great. People stock up for bubbles and baubles. So bubbles are Halloween, they're clear. Baubles are pearls, those come out at Christmas. These also make great snowballs, but you'll see bubbling cauldrons and great things that we have here. Drippy candles, I always say a shout out to Tami B. She was the first one that I ever saw do drippy candles, where she made them rolling paper and glue, and I'm like, hey, I'm inspired. I want to do these out of resin. So these are a resin with these little wire wicks. I love that those came back. I also love that the gates came back. So we've got the Gothic gates with the little lock, the key, and a little bit of chain. These are great embellishments, especially for creepy Halloween things. Now, Graveyard came back. So I will tell you the thing about Graveyard. It did come back. The only thing that's different this year are the colors of the tombstones. I think maybe last year's were a little bit more gray, and these are a little bit of this mossy green that I wanted to do for some of the new SKUs. So, but as far as the content, it's the same. So if you get a pack of greenish or grayish, that's the only difference, because it is the same SKU number. It was just for production. I wanted to just be a little bit more matchy-matchy on the color. Other things that came back, Boneyard. This was something that we had years ago, a couple years ago, then we retired it. We started mixing it, but Boneyard is back. These are little plastic bones. They come in two sizes. They have a nice shiny finish, so they could be inked and altered. I love that. Confections also came back. These are little clay candies. These are not edible, but they sure look good enough to eat. Little candy corns and little black and orange mints and candy sticks. These are great. And to many people's happiness, this one, Trick or Treat. These are vintage-inspired resin candy buckets, a little jack-o'-lantern and a cat. You're going to see some makes in this. I will tell you that last year, this SKU sold out within 2 weeks. 2 weeks of launch, it was gone everywhere. Just because they're cute. They're great to stack up. They're great for a lot of things. So I actually got messages starting in June where people are like, is this going to come back for Halloween? Is this going to come back? Because I bought 10 packs. I bought them for friends. I've done so many things. So just letting you know that. And then we'll have a lot of new. So that's the stuff that came back. Now we're going to get in to the new. The great thing about Idea-ology, I work with a great team at Advantis. So a shout out to everyone at Advantis, to Beth, to Tracy, to Chris, who does all of the art. He does really amazing, amazing work, and it takes a team to put everything together. But a huge shout out to Paula Cheney, who you know is my creative coordinator. We collaborate on Idea-ology. We work together on every single SKU, and talk about things that we want to do. So thanks so much, P, for another rockin' release. A lot of stuff we really work through. You know, she's got a style and I've got a style, and I think when we have the meeting of the minds, it's like it is perfection. Because, you know, we would like to have everything come back every year. It's just not the case. It's just we have new stuff, and new stuff means we got to get rid of some older stuff. So we do have a new metal SKU. I'll talk about the one that it replaced last year. The big difference here, we wanted to put in some new quotes. So this is peculiar and curious things. This is haunted memory. You can see that. It's kind of a raised word. Then we wanted these little tags, and that's what it was. Last year's we had some different words, and we had like a cool metal, almost like a wax seal of a skull. You'll see it. But we wanted to add these little tags. Beware, elixir, potion, 31, 13, and the little skull and crossbones. These little metal tags are perfect when you're tying it on little bottles and bones. And so then when Paula and I were talking, she's like, I need more of these tags. I'm like, well, if we're going to do it, we got to get rid of something. And that's how we work through stuff, which I really appreciate. A favorite of mine, figure stands. You know that I've been launching figure stands. I will have to say that this is probably a SKU that's going to be one and done. The original figure stands, you know, although we released them just last year, and I thought they'd be around forever, I think there's talks that they're going away. Maybe not everybody sees the vision that I had for these, and that's okay. You know, some visions are great, some aren't. I just love these. There will be a Christmas set coming out as well. It's a metal stand that have these three-dimensional charms that sit on the stand if you want, or you can just use them as an embellishment. But I just think they make great little displays. So this year we have a cute jack-o'-lantern, a great cat, and an owl. So you'll see those in the makes. Then these guys. So if you've been following Idea-ology for years, you know that this urn has been classic. It's come and gone. Usually was sold in a 2-pack. As well as the candle stands. We had some metal candle stands that go with the drippy candles. And then we even had them in the manor last year. And both of those SKUs have been retired. So we included a little resin one. It could be used either way. So you can see it's got a wide and a short. So you can stand it there and use the wide end, or you can flip it and you can use the small end. This one's done. These are all in resin. So this is a little black and gray. These right here, this is called Conservatory, and I was very inspired by the Haunted Mansion, Disney, when you walk through and you see the little cemetery. So yes, this is a cool column, a pillar that you'll see. It's the same urn that we've had in years past. Then we have this new wide mouth urn. Awesome. It does so many cool things. You could also maybe use it as a bird bath in spring, but I really love these elements that we had in Conservatory. And just to talk real quick about these urns, just to show you just ideas from years past. Tami B shared this idea of taking little elements. This happens to be a salvage rabbit, but maybe you get like a plastic toy of a cat or something like that. If you wanted to do like your own little pet cemetery, and glued it onto the urn, then paint it. You could paint it with, I painted mine with a little pumice stone, just give it a color, and then use the grit paste crypt that we did with Ranger. Put a little bit of that. That's what gives it that antique stone, a little distressed crayon. But these are very cool for your creepy makes. That's a cool thing to do with an urn, is make it almost like a statue. So that's a salvage rabbit. But you can also take things like if you have pumpkins, these were old Idea-ology pumpkins, or maybe you have flowers or plants. It's also great for the urn. And again, I just like smearing a little grit paste crypt on mine. That's fun. But the new urn, the wide one, is also great for the small glass domes. We do the tiny glass domes. They come in a 3-pack. They were out last year. They're now part of the everyday line. They have a cork bottom, but they actually fit right around that ring of this particular urn. So I like that you can fill it with our new skulls, which I'm going to talk about, the new mini skulls, but you can put a lot of different creepy things in here and you just glue it on. So those are just some things that I really love about Conservatory that you'll see used in the makes, but also there's always a reason why things come back or why things are sized the way they are, because you may not know that they actually work with other things. So we'll talk about the skulls. I've done so many skulls through the year, you will see. And this year I wanted to do really little tiny ones. I wanted them to have the perfect bone color, not so dark and glazed like we've seen in years past. Now, these are glazed, but they're much lighter. And there's 3 different styles. There's one that's kind of smiley with a missing tooth in the middle. One with a full set of pearly whites, just nice smile there. And just like a half jaw one with that, that tooth. Oh my gosh, you'll see that tooth appear on a lot of things, and it's It's hilarious. So these are new this year. New style, new size, everything. But we'll talk about some of the skulls that have made a return. So those are some of the little trinkety bits. Then we will get into some paper elements. Now for paper elements, you know, we always talk about ephemera and layers and paper dolls and all sorts of things. We really try to bring back things that we've used in years past, because I know many people see inspiration and they're like, I'm going to make that next year. And we really want to keep stuff relevant, but we are always on the hunt for new ephemera. And so we update the packs. And that's why you'll see that for the last few years, we've actually started dating the packs, whether it's Idea-ology, Halloween 2022, 23, this year 24. So if you are looking for something in particular, you can see that. Also, Chris does a great job on the scatter shot, just kind of lining things up. Paula did a great job finding some new elements. We've got some great big pieces, some nice advertisements, some botanicals, some florals, but lots and lots of little smalls in here. There's some vintage playing cards. There's some smaller elements to our backdrop papers, little poison labels, tickets, some favorites like the eyeball thing. That's one of my favorites. Little flashcards in there. So it's a great value. It's 123 pieces in here. These always sell out really quick. But you know, I think it is important to continuously change, just like our layers and paper dolls. Now, in years past, we used to just do Halloween paper dolls. We used to just do Halloween layers. But as years go on, we have to consolidate things. You know, we're allowed to bring fewer and fewer SKUs to market, and we have to make some trades. But for the layers and paper dolls this year, we did some really great stuff. First, you'll see that giant dial in the background. We included a lot of different dials in here. I'm just going to open this one just to kind of pull it out and show you. There are some really large pieces this year in the back of layers. And layers are always designed to be a little bit larger. So you will see a cast of paper dolls. You will see a cast of some portraits. Those are going to be the bigger half photos. But also in the back, there's still a lot of photos that are in here from a paper doll perspective. But then there's Moon. Look at that giant dial. Just some great backdrop pieces. You can see we even included those little corners. I know a lot of people use these to make little theaters, so we brought those back. And just some really big elements to use. I love this one too. This was in one of the old layer SKUs, Urban. I love this dial, and this was sized to fit the clock, the Curio clock. So a lot of cool stuff in these SKUs when it comes to paper. So ephemera is a thin uncoated paper. Layers are thicker and they are coated. They have a shine on them, which allows you to tint them and color them. Then when we talked about baseboards, this was fun that Paul and I were going back and forth, like, what can we do different? What can we do different? What can we do different? And we talked about all of the windows and arches. So these all came back from last year. The cool like asylum door with the chain, the arch door. But then I was like, oh, we should really do some old wood planks, just cool wood planks. And then as soon as I said that, Paula goes, I've always wanted an old wood sign, like a creepy path or a cemetery sign. So we did both. So in this pack, you're going to see baseboards are actually chipboard. So it's thick chipboard that is printed. But you can see these cool signs. They come in different sizes that you can use rub-ons, you can stamp, you can write on them, you can leave them as is. You could put all sorts of creepy things coming off of it. But then there's really so many in here, I won't even take them all out. So many wood planks. They're all just different palette wood. This was inspired by this piece that we had last year, which you'll see a lot of makers use. It's just a cool, funky, creepy window. But this you can use to board up this, or you can board up other windows, or you can just add them to elements. Another thing to know about this, if you don't want chipboard, you can go in with your fingernail or just a knife, split it halfway, and actually peel off that layer. See that chipboard? It's a layered board, so you can easily peel this and make it thinner. You don't have to make it as thin as paper. You can actually just decide how thin you want your baseboard to be, because maybe you're a card maker and you're like, I don't want to put a piece of chipboard like this on a card, but you still want to use these elements. Well, then just peel off the back and see, now it's just a little bit more pliable. It's still printed on chipboard, so it won't be paper, but it will allow you to do fasteners and tiny attachers and all sorts of things on that too. So just remember, on all the baseboards, you can kind of peel those apart. Now, last year when we did some elements, we included a lot of different things with baseboards. We included some transparencies. This year we did them as a separate SKU, and here's why. I had a lot of requests for people wanting more of what came in the pack, and I didn't want to increase the price. So now we have a SKU of transparencies. They're just called transparencies Halloween 2024. We did include some shattered. I'll talk about that. That came out last year, but it sold out. But we made it a little different. So if you have the other stuff, use it. But if you didn't get it or you're looking for something new, here's what we did in the transparencies this year. So we brought back the wings. These are perfect for the paper dolls or any of the portraits that go in there, different sizes. These are printed transparency. They can be folded. They can be, you can use a heat tool and kind of mold them. You can melt them a little bit. But then when it comes to these elements, we actually created a little tint. So let me just move this back so you can get a little bit of the white background. See that staining we did? Typically you can go over these with alcohol ink, but sometimes you get it a little too dark and murky. So we took the shattered. So you get actually 4 pieces of shattered, 2 of each of the different designs. And we added this great water dripping. Now the thing with shattered, keep in mind, one side is going to be shiny if you want your glass to look reflective, if you will. If you turn it over, it's a matte finish. So you'll be able to see it either side. It just is up to you whether you want a shine to come through your window, if you want it to look really kind of dusty and murky. So keep that in mind. These could be cut with a trimmer, scissors. You can use any parts or pieces that you want. And then we have a couple of these cobwebs. Also have a little bit of some staining on there. Not as heavy as what we did here, but certainly some staining, because again, you only got one of these and people are like, oh, I love these. Paula in particular, she's like, we need more than one. There again, we did these big enough that you could cut them and use them for a couple of different projects or cards, but they will also fit behind the windows that are in baseboard. So a lot of ideas when it comes to the transparencies and the baseboards. All right, just piling all this up. Was smart enough this time just to have a bucket and throw everything in there. So it's nice that I just get to dump it in. We're good. All right, another transparent SKU is the transparent moths. I love this art. When I saw it, I just thought, oh, we really need to have this. So many times people are looking for wings for everyday things. It doesn't have to be Halloween. It could be spring. It could be any kind of make. And this art, this is just a beautiful color illustration. So these, just let me bring this up close just so you can really see that. Take a look at that art that's in there. There again, if you use this side, it is a little bit more chalky because they print a white layer on the back. So I'm not really a fan of using the back of these, but the front, you can just see how that color pops. And there's different sizes, different art. So these could be used for maybe journals if you're doing like field notes or nature things, or you can use them for paper dolls. But I love them. A lot of people are like, oh, they're butterflies. Yeah, you could say they're butterflies, but they really are moths. That's what has just a really beautiful art. So this SKU, there's different sizes. All the art is on the back. If you have been, a fan of nature things and you've seen a lot of florals and you're like, we need more butterflies. Well, this is as butterflies it's going to get, but they're incredibly cool. So those are transparent moths. So transparencies for attaching them, you could use collage medium, you can use glossy accents, you can use fasteners, you can use some double stick tape. They don't really like to stay very long with tape, or you can sew through them. That's another great thing. You can just stitch right through them and add them to your project. I'm just going to bring this in just to kind of show you. If you guys remember when we did laboratory fabric, Paula incorporated one of these in with her fabric. So see how she heated that, kind of molded it. So using a heat tool, you can actually melt that and create that cool shape. You could attach it or sew through it. So this was a great fabric make that we had, but there were so many cool elements like the transparency that maybe people didn't even realize when we were talking about it. This is one of the original brooms. So the broom, if you can still find these are the older brooms. These actually have a wider base. I think I still saw them, I think on Simon Says Stamp they were there. It's totally different than the broom that we've had in the last couple of years. That's kind of more of a Harry Potter broom. So that's what she used here. A lot of people said, how did she do that broom? So you're going to look for the broom that's a 2-pack that has this like fan. That's what this is that she kind of zhuzhed up. And then of course the test tubes, which also were retired. Very cool. See, there's the bones. It's cool to see, like, we're talking about ideology, but when we did fabric, it was great just to realize that there was such a connection to so many ideology things crossed over. So just wanted to bring that make back. I said to Paul, I'm like, I need to hold on to that. We're going to still show it. Okay. Some other paper elements, well, collage paper. We launched collage paper. This is the stuff that used to come in a roll. We launched it in a pack this year. This is the Halloween version. There's so many cool designs in here. So collage paper is a printed white tissue that when you use collage medium, it becomes completely translucent. And then the print, the black print, goes onto the surface. You'll see this in the makes. Some great art in here. Everything from haunted house to webs and bones, but also some great handwriting and numbers and crackle and ooh, so good. And you get 2 sheets of each of that. Then of course, Paula designed collage strips. I always have to give a shout out to this because I say to Paula, you know, these are way too much work for my brain to do, and she did it. She did these for Halloween and Christmas. We've never had seasonal collage strips, so these are the collage strips large. Amazing work. So she goes through all of the art that we do, everything from backdrops to ephemera to layers to paper dolls to even the collage paper, and she takes little snippets of it, and her and Chris work on creating these large collage strips. So what's nice about these strips is that it's always an assortment of art. You can use them as is, you can cut them. If you are a card maker, it's the quickest card front you'll ever do. You literally cut it to whatever size. So that could go on an A2. You can mat it with some cardstock and you're done. Very easy. If you're doing junk journaling and you don't want to work through all of your ephemera, or you need something that's a different scale, because the scale of these are different than how it comes with the original, be that backdrops or ephemera. You can just cut that, and now you can add that to your junk journals. If you're doing a scrapbook layout, this could be your background paper for a scrapbook. You can do a tile of them. So it definitely has a very cool Halloween vibe. We did all little creepy things, creepy kids and creepy creepy words, because it even has some of the clipping stickers in. So they're all completely different. All of the strips are different. Very, very cool. I hope these stick around for more than this year, because they were a lot of work for her, but I love how they turned out. Then this one, sticker books always do really well for the line. Wanted to do something a little creepier this year. So we do have the clipping stickers. So these came back. Same clippings that we've had. These are just great sticker words that have come out of books. But then I loved this kind of creepy art. So we've had hats and skulls and stuff in the past, but we wanted to do something different. And I think it's important to tell you about this during the live, because you may only see this online and be like, oh, okay, stickers. There's a whole sheet of ways that you can, stickers of ways that you can dress up photographs. So there's skulls. The skulls can go right over the face, or you can just use them as skull as is. Top hats. The top hats can go on the skulls, or they can go on the people. Witch hats. So this year, not only do we do the witch hats in different sizes, but we also did a little cut in the hat. So that little slit allows the head to fit underneath the hat. You'll see it in the makes. So it looks like the photo is wearing the hat. So that is really a great feature that we added. And then we did a lot of little masquerade masks, different sizes, whether you're doing portraits or whether you're doing smaller photos, even photo booth. You can dress these up just as a masquerade. These are hilarious for New Year's as well. These masks, to take regular photo booth, they don't have to be creepy, and add that and do like a Happy New Year kind of thing. So that's another great sheet that we added to the sticker book this year. We really wanted to do more, because we always pay attention to how things get used. We're like, we need more accessories. But it was really these creeps that kind of stole the show. I love these photos. They're very, very creepy, kind of mugshot-ish, if you will. But I just love the look of these. They definitely give off a completely different vibe for creepy kind of photos. And you'll see these used in the makes in hilarious ways. Really, really great ways. So that is the new sticker book. And again, Halloween 2024, but you'll see these characters on the front. And I love that. Caught hold of shared secrets, things that they all knew. She did not belong in this place. So good, right? Really good. All right. We've got some new paper. So the idea-ology backdrops, we definitely updated several in the collection. I think it was really important that we did. We always like to bring back favorites like brick and crackle and some of the text, but we added some elements. We added like this new map that's on the front. So it's a cool map, but it's in great Halloween colors. You know, the orange and blacks and creams. Also some of the stuff that you'll see that you may have seen in the papers, like the stripe that was a favorite in the fabric line. That came, of course, from backdrops. There's some wallpaper, because worn wallpaper has since been retired. So there's some designs in there. So just keep in mind that you might recognize some similar stuff. That's great, but we always want to add some newness to the pack. So that's for Halloween 2024. You'll see it on the makes. Don't want to open that up. This is a new one. So this is Craftstock Sparkle Plaid. Now, Craftstock Sparkle, this is a craft stock. It's kind of a, well, I'm not going to say it's gray because it's not gray, but it's not traditional dark brown either. But this is a craft paper that has this sparkle that is printed on. So there's no glitter. There's actually no texture to this paper at all. It's very sparkly. We have this in the everyday line. We have Craftstock Sparkle that's the silver and gold. But because it's printed, I'm like, well, if it's printed, can we print a design? And they're like, I don't know. I'm like, how about plaids? Because we love a good tartan. We do love a good tartan. So the plaid, this actually has 4 different plaids. There are 20 sheets in here, so you get 5 sheets of the 4 different designs. And these are the 4 plaids. So these are perfect, not just for Halloween, but great if you want fall cards. You can die cut this, you can sand it, you can ink it even more. But here's the thing, and I'm hoping the camera picks it up. It has a wonderful sparkle. It's very subtle, very cool, but not glittery. Again, no texture and no glitter. This is a printed sparkle. And all of the colors, I mean, I love how it looks. Obviously, the darker colors, you see more of that diamondy on the finish. This reminds me of like an old school lunchbox. But it is paper, so you can tear it, you can do all of the things, you can die cut it, emboss it, everything that you would do. You can put it behind words. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do, but again, it is seasonal. It's a seasonal release of that Craftstock Sparkle. Now we're going to have a little conversation about this. If anyone has followed Idea-ology for many years, these were retired, I think back in 2021, I think, or 2020. This is typography. These are resin letters. They're not really plastic. They are resin. It's a molded resin. And they remind me of like an old menu board. And I didn't want these to go. I mean, it was a whole inside running joke at Advantis and with Paula because like I wanted cases of typography. I wanted this to go, and no matter what I did, I couldn't save it. So enough years passed that we were talking about stuff, and we, of course, find new vendors. And I'm like, hey, do you think our new resin vendors, you know, someone that's making, you know, all of these little resin things like toadstools and all, like, can maybe revisit typography and bring it back? Because we wanted to do a lot of things. The original typography only had like a set of letters and numbers, and it was challenging for people to spell things. I even did this in some makes, I think Valentine's several years ago, even when they weren't available. I'm like, I don't care, I'm still going to use them because I stocked up. This is now released, and it's going to be part of the line at least through next year, so that's a good thing. But here's what we did different. Because we were starting from scratch, we actually have multiples of all the letters. We got rid of the numbers because we wanted to make way for that. So like there's 4 A's, there's a little number here, I don't know if you can see on the camera, but it talks about how many letters are in here. So if you're buying a pack and you already know what you want to spell, you can get that. Of course, you know, depending on what you're spelling, we can't always curate the perfect alphabet just for you. But if you have a few packs, you can go in and create it. And you're going to see how these can be altered. They can be alcohol inked, painted, glittered, embossed, everything. You can glaze them. You can use resist spray on them. You can do everything because it is a dimensional resin letter in that perfect classic font. So I'm so excited that these came back. Thank you, Advantis, for letting me bring these back. This is probably the happiest thing I was about this whole release. I'm like, I get typography again. All right, so that wraps up what's new this year, but I want to talk about what has come out in years past that you still might be able to get. All right, so I'm going to hand this off to Mario, give him that stuff. There you go. Thanks. You can set that over there. Thanks, Mario. There's the basket. I'm just going to bring in stuff. So this is stuff that has been around but has since been retired. It is gone for good, but you can still find it online. I went on Simon Says Stamp. I just used the index to see if it was available, but your local shop or online place might still have some stock. But I want to talk about it because we do allow the makers to use some of the older stuff if they want in their makes, and I think there's always people that maybe didn't realize what was available and didn't get their hands on it. And I'd rather talk about it at retail price than going on eBay and paying crazy prices. So collage paper, this has been retired. This is a Halloween one. It's got a lot of great creepy gates. This is when we used to do it in a roll. That was a Halloween one retired. Design tape, we no longer do any of the washi tape, but there's some great design tape that is still available. It's got crackle, that favorite marble that we even did in fabric this year, and then some thin little poison elements. So I call this out because you'll see it in some of the makes. As I mentioned previous years, if you are shopping, always pay attention to that date up there. Like these are from 2023. So there might be a lot of similar things, but there's also a lot of different things that we have since retired in the collection. Same thing goes with ephemera and baseboards. Deco sheets, this was something that people asked if I was going to bring back, and we didn't. We only did these for 1 year. But what these are, they're very different than the craft stock sparkle. So it is the same printed glitter. I know it looks like a glittery paper that it would be textured, but it is printed, but it is so sparkly and diamond. The great thing about this, we did this for Halloween and Christmas, and it was 1 year and they were here and gone. But I did see some on a few retail sites. The cool thing about this is peel and stick. So it is a thin vinyl. You can use a paper punch. You could use a thin die. You could use a thick die. You can do anything that you want when it comes to cutting. But you can also peel it off and stick it onto things. So you can stick it onto glass if you want. If you're going to do cards, you can cut this with your trimmer, and now you have strips of sparkly tape, just like you would have, say, glitter tape, but it's much thinner. If you wanted it thicker, you'd peel it off and stick it to craft stock or for watercolor or whatever, but it is not coming back. But it is available. So for those that are saying, so sad it's not back, well, but I'm telling you now so you can stock up knowing that it's not coming back, because again, people have said, I wish you would tell us what isn't coming back so we could buy up if we want. And this came in these great colors, including this black diamond, which you've seen me use in the Hoopla. I love it. Another old SKU, just transparency. So you saw the new transparencies this year where we focused on just the cobweb, the shattered, and then we did a pack of moths. But we did some cool Halloween transparencies in years past. A lot of X-ray things. So like there's that chart that we did, again in fabric. It's so cool to see how everything ties together. So that periodic chart, transparency, so you can light it up. That little X-ray chart, an eye chart, some other spider webs. This makes a cool X-ray light because it's black with white and it lights up great. Also some more bat wings. Those actually came over. And then just some thin transparency strips. So these are transparencies, again, Halloween, retired. This last year, as I mentioned, sold out from Advantis, but you can still find it from retailers. These, of course, do not have any printing on them as far as that grunge, but that's great because I saw people use shattered all year. I saw them for spring where it had like a little, they put them behind a window and did some moss and a nest and birds. But these, you actually got 20 pieces. I talked about this last year when they came out, that I knew that people would want many, many windows, and Advantis only agreed to do them 1 year by themselves. And so that was the year. But I know a lot of retailers stocked up. So that's the other thing that I want to give a shout out to. A lot of retailers know how Idea-ology seasonal works, which is typically a one and done. You don't know what's coming back. So many of them buy up so they have stock for the following years. This, of course, worn wallpaper. Now, worn wallpaper, completely different than backdrops because it is actually printed on a texture paper that's like wallpaper. This was inspired by wallpaper. So you get these scraps, but you also get these sheets of really grungy, cool, all drippy, but it is a textured, I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up, but it is a textured paper that's, well, kind of like wallpaper. It's not adhesive backed or anything like that, but it definitely mimics that look. This did not come back. We did take some of the designs and make them into backdrops, but you don't get the same kind of paper. But we had a good run on it for a couple of years. And then, of course, as I mentioned, just like the other paper SKUs, any earlier backdrops that you can find, you're always going to find, again, a lot of the art is the same, but there's also different stuff. Like we did some corrugated rust one time, and when we talk about bugs or some of the larger elements that we did, that was ephemera based. So just keep your eye out. I know a lot of you are collectors, but it is important that when you're shopping, if you know it's not coming back, you can make that decision of like, well, I didn't really use it, or hey, you know what, I really like it, I'm just going to get a couple now. Just better to know. I don't like to talk about retired a lot because it gets people all worked up, but at the end of the day, I've had more people that say it's helpful, so I'm taking it that way. So we'll talk about some other stuff that has been retired. And again, this stuff is available as of today's live video that I've seen online. We talked about skulls. Look at the evolution of skulls through the years. I've done, you know, little tiny, look at those little bone creepy skulls with the pumpkins. Those are the ones I was talking about, the resin pumpkins. We did these skulls and bones. I think these were last year. One year we did just skulls, but they're really dark and grimy, but much bigger. These are all bigger skulls than this year's and completely different. We've also done just pumpkins in the past. One of my favorites. I love this because, again, that's how you can stack to create the topiary. They're super easy to paint. You just paint it. You can use distressed crayon. You can add little twigs and moss. Simple thing to do. Tombstones. Before we did graveyard with all of those things, we actually had these really thick, much more ornate tombstones. So these are thick and they make great place settings. We even did little remnant rubs that used to work in there, but you can glue charms in. But what I like about these, because of the wide base, is they actually stand alone. So unlike the ones in the graveyard, they have to be glued in because they're thin. But these are so, they're so cool. I stocked up on these because I needed them. Confections, before we mixed all the candy corn and the candy sticks together, as you saw this year, we did offer candy corn by itself. So if you're a candy corn fan or you want to just fill a little jar or make, you can still buy candy corn for places that have it in stock. But of course, that's been retired. It's only sold now in the multi-pack. And same thing with the black and white candy. I know a lot of people like to just do black and white for Halloween with ghosts or bones, or obviously with Beetlejuice coming out. So if you're looking for just black and white and that's all you want, that's your option to get those two. It never came out in just the orange and white, but those are the only two confection SKUs that we used to have, and now they are now they've been retired. We talked about test tubes. Yes, these have been retired, but they are available. They're very cool because they are glass, not plastic, with the cork. And you can also use them as a tall dome. So you can still put like a cool little twisted branch or a twig. You can fill it with small things or use them as glass files. I was just chatting with Zoe before the live, and she's like, I'm stocked up because I needed to order some. I actually placed an order at Simon Says last night. Because I needed, didn't I, Mario? I did. Because I stocked up. I'm like, I said to Heidi, I'm like, you don't mind if I buy a lot of stuff before live? Because I'm nervous. I only have a few things. Speaking of, this is one of my favorites. It's Laboratory. This came out during Halloween. It did go into the everyday line, but it has been retired. These are little glass science, I don't know, flasks, beakers, but you can fill them with glitter. You can fill them with eyeballs, with beads. Or if you just like sciencey stuff, these are very cool just to fill with little glitter or elements that you have in your craft space. But they have the little printed numbers in two sizes, but again, retired. So all of this stuff, retired, but still available as of today. Love it, love it. It is the whole thing. Yeah, I just saw Simon saying, you're nosy and had to peek. Hey, look, I use my stuff. So when I have it and I use it,
you get low, you get nervous.
I get nervous because like people think I have control to say what stays and what goes. I don't. We only have the ability to say, here's what we want new. And then when it's gone, well, it's gone. All right, now we're going to get into some other trinkety elements. This did not come back this year. We launched this last year. This is the Manor, and these are metal candle stands. So this is that new resin one that I pointed out for this year's release. We did in black, but in years past, we used to do the candle stands in metal. Those sold out and those were retired. And then last year, I wanted to bring them back with this frame in metal. That's the Manor. But it didn't make it back. So that's why I'm like, oh, but we don't have any candle stands. That's why I do it in resin. So sometimes we just have to make it work, you know, when we don't have the control over it. Same thing with locks and keys. If you like little padlocks or keys to put on steampunk elements or industrial things, we actually launched initially just locks and keys. These are retired. And then you saw that in the gates, we included one lock and one key because we still wanted to, we want to keep things going. You know what I mean? So, but if you're just a fan of locks and keys for your makes, just know that they existed at one time and you can still get them. These are the seals I was talking about. So they look like wax seals, but these are cast metal. I love it with the skull and crossbones. They only made it 1 year. These are shaped seals, Halloween, retired, but very cool. I loved them. We also love some good creepy words. These are word plaques Halloween. So this is when we used to do just 4 little small ones. Some of my favorite things on there, like Bone Collector, Curious Things, Found Objects, The Apothecary. Things that even if you like to make creepy things year round, these were retired. I think these are like 2 years ago, but I still found some online, so I wanted to talk about it. If you like these are really great because you get a 4-pack of just that size. This was last year's that I was referring to, where it's like these got discontinued, so we included them. The seals got discontinued, so we included that. And now of course, this year, like that already got bumped out. But this was last year, so we have Something Dreadfully Wicked and Curious Things. So again, different things than this year's pack. Poison, Toxic, and 13, we did keep some of those the same, but we got rid of the little oval one just because of shape and pricing. And then of course the seal. See, so you can stock up. You have the ability to stock up if you want. Not that you have to, but now nobody can say, well, you should have told us, because I did. Here are the Adornment Spiders and Branches. Very beautiful, sculpted branches. I know Paula was very sad to see this one go, because these branches are beautiful for fall things. But more importantly, we also lost our little spiders. You're going to see the spiders on several makes. They're beautiful little metal spiders with a hole in there so you can tie a thread or a string, and they came in there. But yeah, they're gone and no spiders this year. So if you're looking for those, this is a great SKU. And really, these metal pieces, they are stunning. I just saw Paula very sad. She's like, these can't go. We have to put them in, like, what are we going to put the branch in with? We can't just throw the branch in with words. So I know, it was sad they were going, but you can stock up. This is another item I stocked up on. This is a bird cage. Now, I think it retails for like $10, so don't freak your freak when you see it. But truth is, and Paula remembers this story as well, this is a handmade bird cage. So this is a bird cage that I wanted out of thin wire with that metal grate bottom, and this is actually hand soldered each little piece of wire, so we have a hanging bird cage. You can snip these open, you can bend them open. If you're too aggressive, you'll snap off the bottom, but that's okay because you can still sit it back down, but I just use wire cutters and kind of bend the bars. I think this only made it 1 year because of the price, but man, when you see it in a make, it is so worth it. It is very cool. But yeah, I was happy. I stocked up on those too because I needed that. Another thing I stocked up, creepy eyes. These haven't been back for a couple years now, so I was very excited to still see them because I use them. And usually when you use creepy eyes, you use a lot in a make. You could alcohol ink these, you can glitter these, you can do so many cool things with these eyes. You can glue them inside things. You'll see there's a lot of other elements. Here's a card. I think this is a throwback to maybe, maybe 2020. Cheiron made this card that many years ago, and I've kept it because this is a stamp set called Dearly Departed with Stampers Anonymous, and she did that card, did the cutting, and put a creepy eye, and it was the coolest thing I had seen. And I'm like, Cheiron, I have to keep this card. She's like, okay, go ahead. And I still have it because I love it. Besides, I love the stamp, which is still available. I love that. I love how she cut out that socket and put in a creepy eye. I mean, how freaking great is that? That is like frameable right there. So good. So if you're looking for an idea, because you might be like, oh, these look cartoony. Nope, not when you put it in something. They look creepy. That's the beauty of it. So I definitely stocked up on those. Mario just laughs. He's just like, oh, Tim. Mini flare. So mini flare, these are like button tops without the pin. So they don't have a pin back, but they are metal and they're curved. This is a lot of ephemera elements. So Poe, there's a little moon, the eyes, the numbers, the bugs, a little clock. These were great for Halloween, also got retired. I just think they're fun. They're fun to use. So I do love the mini flare. Then we have trimmings. So trimmings, this is a little sparkly tinsel. And I think when you see it online, people just don't fully understand what this stuff is because they're like, oh, I can just, Captain Obvious, I'll buy pipe cleaners. You know, you're not going to fool me. Okay, this is different than a pipe cleaner. This is actually like a wide tinsel. See that? It is wired, but it's a little bit softer. I don't know where the end is on this. I'm just going to pull this out. It's all right. So you can use it as a garland. You can staple it on. You can do a zigzag stitch through it, but it is that wonderful black, shiny tinsel. It is much softer, so you can wrap it around things, but it does make just a great trim. It can go around party hats, but it is a bit fluffier. You need to make a much bigger party hat than the mini ones, but I do love this. So this was only around for a year, just because honestly it was too expensive to make. That's the reality. It seems silly because you're like, oh, but tinsel's really inexpensive. Yeah, not when you want it to be a specific diameter on wire in black. Yeah, that's it. So that would be Halloween trimmings. It's very cool. I love the tinsel. And then there's this one. This is the one that I definitely quadrupled down on. It's probably one of my most favorite things. This is idea-ology fringe. I talked about it many times. It is a product we did in cream and black. It did not last. I think because at shelf level, you don't think this is exciting. And I get it. But I was able to stock up. I think I got another 10 packs. Now I have maybe 30 packs of this, and I'm not exaggerating. Because I know it's never coming back. It is made out of crepe paper. So different than tissue paper. So like old school crepe paper. It's many layers sewn together. So I don't know if you can kind of see that. So it's many layers, and then it's sewn down the middle, sewn together, and it's wrapped around here. So you get 2 strands. Each one is 1.5 yards. Okay, so it's 3 yards on here. The cool, yeah, it is. It's so fun to open. So this is what it looks like, but this is what it actually does. When you take fringe out, you cut whatever you need. Maybe it's going to go on a card or whatever it is, and you just take this and you put it in your hand, and you just start rolling it as if you're making a ball. It's so easy to do. It's all sewn. It's all that. You're just, I know everyone's saying bring back. None of this is coming back, but it's available. So if you need it, you get it. Then when you open it up, you just start kind of scrunching this together. Okay. So once I roll it into a ball, I open it and then I just kind of scrunch it. And this is what you end up with. You end up with this perfect little festooning. That's kind of old school Halloween garland that you would see like in a classroom. See all that? You could still go in and you could put a little bit of, you could put some like metallic paint on your fingers and you could just do little tips, or you can paint it when it's flat. That might even be easier. But this is what you do with it. And I love it because it is paper. It's very easy to attach to a card. You can cut it shorter if you want. If you're going to cut it, it's much easier to cut it when it's flat. So maybe you want like a shorter little paper fringe. But yeah, it goes great not only around makes that you have, but I think what I like the most, and I'll even show you some makes that I did, is that if you have existing things, like maybe you found something, at TJ Maxx or whatever that you wanted to accent. I saw people say like old buckets. It's very cool accent because you don't have to make it yourself. So I know in the package, and that's probably why it didn't do well, but that was the only way to package it. Looks can be deceiving, but that is fringe. Still available at certain places. Get it while you can. Oh, I just saw Judy say spray it with Halloween mica. That would be really cool. Yeah, get that nice little shine on there. Ooh, so good. Okay, so that's fringe and pencil. There we go. Thank you, Mario. Wow. Okay, so before I get into structures, I'm just going to talk about one thing that also is going away and didn't come back for a season, and that's going to be the Curio clock. We did Curio clocks. This is an empty metal clock. We did it one year in shiny red for Christmas. One year we did it in glossy black for Halloween, and then the everyday clock is a matte black. These Curio clocks have been retired throughout the entire line, including the everyday one. Advantage just announced that to me this week. So all of the clocks are going away. I wanted to put it in the video because you're going to see some clocks. It's just a fun clock. This is one that I made last year. So, you can put tiny lights. I will say I changed out the background. I'm not going to lie. I totally changed the background because my background had a moon in it. And when we did that new swirly, I told you kind of like Beetlejuice look, I popped it out because it fits the back of this clock. So the back just pops off. It has no glass, so I put in shattered. Some tombstones, so you glue on the charms, some little skulls, a little bats from Old Transparency. But it's just a fun make. So if you're into clocks, I know a lot of people that do stitching and all sorts of things. When it comes to working with these, you like them. But just so you know, the everyday one is a matte black. I liked the shiny one because I went in and sanded it. You're going to see a clock that Richele made as well. But I just wanted to put it on video that like all of these they're all going away and no more clocks. But they were fun. They're still fun. So I stocked up on a couple. Okay. So next we're going to talk about structures and the idea of structures. And the reason I'm talking about structures is because structures have a very interesting, there we go, a very interesting place in the world of ideology. I talk about them a lot just because honestly I just felt like everyone knows, but then like I said afterwards it's one of those where it's like, what did they use? So when I talk about vignettes in an ideology live, vignette is actually a product. It's a product category in ideology, and it refers to these wooden boxes. They come in a variety of different styles, different shapes. It is made out of thin wood. It is charred. The reason I wanted to do charred wood is because when you go to the craft store and you buy a lot of that plain pine, it's kind of kind of freaks you out because you have to prime it or you have to paint it or you have to do something before you can use it. And I love the idea that these, because they are charred, there's no stain, so you don't have to worry about it mixing with whatever you apply. You can use them as is. You can leave some of it exposed, like the edges. It's just a very cool thing. And they're super inexpensive when it comes to really what you're getting. So this is referred to as a vignette display panel. It is a large square surface that when you work with it, you can either work on the panel or you can turn it over and use the inside of it. So you can use it as a tray if you wanted to. Trays are just that. It's kind of like a panel. They're a little deeper. There are two sizes. One is deeper than the next. So as these graduate in size, when they go up and down, they actually become smaller and shorter. So that's when you see that they're all flush. It's like, it's a smaller tray, but it's also a little bit more shallow. But the vignette trays, they come 2 in a pack. So you're going to see trays used vertically. You'll see some trays used horizontally, but it's a great surface because, again, it doesn't warp. It doesn't do any of that stuff when you use it. Then we also have some specialty things. This one happens to be called a divided drawer. It kind of looks like a cheese box. These little dividers slide out, so you can either leave all 3 in or you can pull these out and you can create a bigger compartment. Again, you can use it vertical or horizontal. You can even, because it's really deep, it allows you to put in more dimensional things, but also stand some things on top. Then we have the standards. These are vignette boxes. They come in square and they come in rectangle. The squares, there are 3, as you can see, graduating sizes. And on the rectangles, there are 4. And there again, as they get smaller, they also become a little bit more narrow. But you'll see you can actually pack a lot in these little vignettes. And it's a great foundation if you're getting started in mixed media, where you can just build. You just glue stuff in and you create all those little trinkets, and it's a fun way to build. But I wanted to talk about the structures that we work on, because I know I keep saying vignettes, and people think I'm talking about like the setting or the scene. Yes, but also the structure that was used to do that. So there we go. Now, some vignettes, and I'll just talk about this one. There's been many others that have come and gone, but this was one that I happened to find online. This is called, we've done vignettes in specific shapes. We've done like little houses. That has already been retired. I don't know if anybody has those left in stock. We've even done like a coffin box. That's been long gone. This one is called an art shrine. We did this for Halloween because I thought it kind of looked like a coffin. The coffin box wasn't really good. That's why it didn't last. The coffin box is actually this size, but this part narrowed down and you couldn't stand it up because the base was only this wide. So not only does it kind of mimic a coffin, but it also kind of mimics like a headstone, but it could also just be a cool shrine. It comes with these 2 pieces. So I just wanted to talk about this. When this came out, and maybe that's why it didn't last long, people thought these were shelves. So we got a lot of messages going, I got these, but it's not working. What do I do? This was actually designed as a base. It was just 2 pieces of wood in 2 different sizes that you can stack, paint, glue, and then when this sits on it, it just gave you a nice little pedestal. Do you see that? Because again, we were going for like a tombstone vibe. So everything you glue like flush to the back, and then you have that little step. So it's a really cool shrine. It doesn't have to be for Halloween. It's just a great structure. But that's really what I wanted to share with you, that I did see this one. But you know, Paula and I talk about it. We're like, why didn't they get it? And it's like, probably because these come in there loose, and then people think that it was like a busted shelf. But you know, there is a picture on the front, but it is a cool design. So that is the vignette art shrine. Again, it's been discontinued, but you can still find it online. It's a cool one. All right. Some other things we're going to talk about when it comes to structures are glass. There's a lot of glass. So you'll see in the makes a lot of different glass elements that we do in idea-ology. I love things that are really made out of glass. I think it just adds something not only to the nostalgia of it, but really the quality when it comes to what we're making, okay? And when it comes to glass, getting a lot of stuff. I do a lot of things. I even do embellishments in glass. Oh, all sorts of things. All right, I've got trays and trays of stuff. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's go. Thanks. I'll give you those, Mario. Thank you. I do. Okay, and then we're going to get into the make. So when it comes to glass, there's a lot of things that you can work with. Most of the stuff is current. The only thing that has been retired is this, and I mentioned this, we did this, I think we did this last year. It is a glass globe, and one side was Christmas, one side was Halloween, because Advantis, it was so expensive to do that they're like, you're gonna get 1 year, that's it, and we're gonna do it. But I do love this. So this one is actually like if you wanted to make a snow globe but out of glass. You can find snow globes like even at the dollar store, but they're all plastic. So I wanted to do one that was glass with a cork base. So you can see it does. And people did these as like a crystal ball. They make a beautiful snow globe at Christmas time. But like I said, it was very, very expensive to do. And so that's why it was one and done. But I've seen them online, so you can still purchase these. But just know that they didn't come back this year, and you know, when stock is gone, it's gone. But it's a great, see, you can fit so much in it. Toadstools, skull, paper dolls, woodland trees. Paula created these. But I wanted to talk about that glass SKU. The rest of these glass SKUs, these are all current and they're part of the line. So I wanted to talk about the difference in glass, because I'll quickly talk. We've got a display dome. That was our first kind of glass arch dome, and it comes in a single size. It also comes in what we refer to as small, and that's going to be that 2-pack, and then mini. And the mini one, that's what I was saying, like you can take the mini and you can utilize that glass on that new urn that's in conservatory. So that's what I was talking about. This is the size that I put on top of that instead of the cork. Then we have a reliquary dome. A reliquary dome is really cool because it is bigger. It's got a big arch, but it's flat faced. So it's flat on the front and the back. You'll see in some of the makes. And so it doesn't distort whatever you put in it. It's very, very cool. That's what I love about how that really works out when it comes to glass. So this is going to be fully rounded, and this is going to be a flat front, flat back, but everything else is arched because these are blown glass. So those are all the glass structures. And then a few little glass elements. You're going to see a lot of makers, especially at Halloween, use a lot of bottles. And so I want to talk about that too, because it's not a Halloween release, so it often doesn't get really called out. These are cork vials. It's just a pack that has a lot of different bottles, all different sizes, little wide mouth bottles, short bottles, tiny bottles, little vials, pirate bottles, I call them. So these are cork vials. Tiny vials are really, really tiny bottles, also with a cork. So these are great for potions and poison. Much thinner glass, so you can use these standing up off their side. A lot of people even make jewelry out of these, so those are good. And then these don't get the love that they need. I'm afraid that these probably are going to go away after this year. They've been in the line for a lot of years, but this is amber glass, and you don't typically see these in an everyday SKU, but these are. These came out one Halloween years ago, and they've been around. These are apothecary vials. So this is an amber glass, you can see, corked, little squattier than even this one. They're a little squatty, but this is the same size, small as this. But what's also unique about the apothecary, and you can't really appreciate that from the packaging, is in the back, we even included these label stickers. So these are printed stickers, and they're made out of a really thin vinyl. So it's not really it's papery, but they're really thin because it needs to go around the glass and stick to it. But you can see like our little favorite eyeball ephemera, a lot of smaller little ephemera elements, even numbers. These are just great because you can peel and stick and fill them with all sorts of great, cool things. So those are apothecary vials. So there's a lot of great stuff when it comes to working with ideology. And that's really going to be the inspirations. We're going to get in and we're going to talk about the makes, okay? I'll start out just by talking about glues. Now, I can't speak for every maker. I think I can speak for most of our makers, which is the fact that the glue of choice for many of these elements, and certainly my glue of choice, is going to be Distress Collage Medium. Not an infomercial, but I try to address all the most asked questions we get after an Ideology Live. Distress Collage Medium comes in a needle tip squeezy bottle, kind of like a Glossy Accents bottle, and it also comes in a jar. It is a matte drying adhesive. It can glue anything you want. It can glue paper, fabric, wood, metal, plastic, glass. It can glue paper to paper, paper to wood, wood to metal, glass to metal, metal to glass, glass to plastic, transparencies, anything you want. but it will dry with a matte finish. It's also a great way that you can spread it over something if you want to dull down the shine. So if you have paper dolls or layers and you don't like the shininess of the paper, take a little collage medium on your finger, spread it out, and it will become a matte finish. The nice thing about collage medium, it shrinks when it dries, and that is why I love working with collage medium, because if you glue down an embellishment and you've got that glue ring, that glue ooze, collage medium actually shrinks, so it will pull itself behind that embellishment as it dries, and when it's on there, it is on there. Yes, styrofoam to plastic, Dolly, it glues everything. The thing to remember, though, is the structure you're putting it on. I saw that question about styrofoam. Styrofoam is one of those things that actually breaks off. So sometimes the glue dries, but the surface itself breaks off. So when you use collage medium, you want to be fairly generous with it. It goes on white, but it dries completely clear. So if you're putting it on and you don't see that it's white, chances are you don't have enough to glue that particular embellishment down. Okay? So let's start off. And we're going to start off with a make that I did. I did a make, I made these because I wanted to make something fun using Trick or Treat, because again, last year, these little guys were top selling SKU, but people bought them and they're like, do you have any ideas for them? And I'm like, yes, you can do this and you can do this. But the people asking me were really more vintage people and not necessarily crafty maker people. So they weren't interested in vignettes. They weren't interested in anything. They wanted some quick ideas. So I'm like, let me think of a quick idea for this year. So I made these two, and really they're very simple. You can see that they consist of a display dome. So that's a display dome here. There's the cork base right there. I went and just got little candle stands. You can find these at the dollar store or a craft store. You can even find these at the thrift store. Just a stand, because I wanted to elevate them if they go on a mantle or maybe they go on a table. But here's what I did. I took the globe itself and I put a transparency inside. So you can see there's our spider web. I just cut it down so I didn't have to worry about that arch. I wanted to leave the visible space open, which was great because I used the whole transparency. And all I did was put a little bit of double stick tape on that transparency and stuck it inside the glass, so that becomes the backdrop. So there you go. Now you can see it. You can't really see the white on white, but on your table, now you've got little spider webs in there. That was pretty easy. Then, of course, because I had tape showing, I also wanted to cover the edge. You could use ribbon, you can use whatever, but you know, fringe for the win. You see what I mean? And I just attached that with double stick tape as well. So I used score tape, went around the edge, took my fringe, curled it up, stuck it around, and now I've got so that could even sit down. You don't always have to use the cork if you don't want to. But then I've got these guys. So I use these little jack-o'-lanterns. I did some woodland trees. These are from Idea-ology. I covered them in little candy corn colors, little rock candy. I used the confections. I even added some glitter on that, so you can see the rock candy glitter on the confections, so they sparkle. But here's how I'm going to light them up, because I want to light them up. You can use tiny lights. I'm a huge fan of tiny lights. I'm also a huge fan of these when I discovered them last year. These are LED balloon lights. These are lights they put in balloons. You can get them for weddings and all that. You can buy them in different colors. You can buy them in white. I prefer warm white. I use them all over the house. Ask Mario. For Christmas and Halloween, it comes with a little plastic tab. When you pull it out, it lights up. When you put this, see that little slot right there? When you put that back in, it will turn it off. Now, I don't turn mine off. I pull this out. I leave them lit. They normally stay lit for about 3 days, 24/7. And well, 24 hours, not 7 days a week. 24 hours for 3 days, and then they start to dim, and then I just put in new ones. You don't replace the batteries of this. This is considered a disposable thing, but you can buy them in the bulk. And I like how tiny they are. I like that this has a little flat bottom, because when I built these, I just glued the back of the tree, so I have a little opening. So I can bend back the little tree. I can drop in the little light. I can pull the tree back because these are wired, and now it lights up. So you can put in those lights, and then you're just going to push this down over the cork. Just gives you an idea that you can buy these little lights. So if you have little candy holders or just things that, you know, sometimes tiny lights are great, but sometimes, oops, let me shake that around. There you go. See, we want the light to stand up, and they're kind of weighted at the bottom. Just bend that forward. Sometimes tiny lights work, and sometimes you don't want a cord or a wire, and so having a whole batch of these balloon lights are great. But see how you can just light that up? So it lights up the tree. I love that it starts in yellow. So these are just great little luminaries. A great way to light up things for Halloween, and something you can do for for trick or treat. Again, it's all done with collage medium except for the tape that's right there. You can do some little ribbon. I did ribbon. I added a little spider charm that's on there. But just gives you an idea that even if you're not into vignettes or anything like that, the idea of those small little domes, that's the regular dome that comes in a box, is really a very cool way. And if you're like, well, I don't know what to do with the dome, a candle stand or a little cake plate, anything like that is easy. So I wanted to start with just a quick, easy make that you can use even if you're not into all of the vignettes and books and great, amazing journals and things that you're going to see in this live. All right. There you go. I know. See those lights? They're so good. They're so good. There you go. I still see people saying I don't believe they're gone, but you can get spiders. You could just get them now in the pack. Okay, we're going to kick off with cards. I'm going to talk about this whole slew of cards that Cheiron created. I do love that when we do ideology, that Cheiron, and she even did like a little mixed media, but Cheiron is typically a card maker, and I love that years ago when Paula and I were talking, we're like, hey. When it comes to working with all of these different cards and elements, like, would you mind just doing ideology, but your style in cards? And she's like, oh, I'll take on the challenge. So each year she's always delivered with some great ideas. So let's talk about the different cards. And they're always unique and different. So this is just a little gatefold card where she used the collage strips. I was talking about how easy it was just to take collage strips. So she took 2 of those strips. So it looks like a lot of piecework, but it isn't. Paula did that for you. Take that, use some of the ideology sellotape, so you can see that was part of our everyday line. You just add the sellotape. She used a layer, paper doll, one of the little word plaques, and then did a magnet closure. So that's a way that you can take those collage strips and quickly make a card background. It doesn't have to be a gatefold. You can just stick 2 on an A2 and you're done. So that's a great idea for using that. Here are some cool, like, ephemera kind of creepy cards that she did. I love how she went in and used not only the paper dolls, but the ephemera, the stickers, the layers. So these cards, and I always love the series that she does. Started with the background. You can see that this is collage medium, where she used a lot of different ephemera pieces. There's some smudging of some crayon. There's the card. Then there's a little ephemera piece, that little flash card. This shiny piece back here, that's a layer. Same with the paper dolls. And that's what I was telling you about those stickers in the sticker book. Remember when I talked about the skulls? They were designed to fit over the faces in the Halloween paper dolls. And I think, well, they're just creepy cool. You can stick them on or use foam tape like she did. And maybe you're not into the creep, but there's a lot of creep around here and I love it. Here's another card she did with the paper dolls. There's that little mask. So same thing. We size those masks just so they can be going to a masquerade. I think it's so good. So when you think, I don't really know what to do with ideology, get it down, get some glue, get some ink, some crayons. You can sew around the backgrounds and create some fun. And then there's our little witch, and that's what I was talking about, the witch hat. You see that little cut? That cut allows you to go in and slide the head in there, but because it's a sticker, it will also stick to the top of the head and keep the hat on. Cool, right? Just another little detail that we did. You know, we did witch hats before, but it's like, let's just put that cut in, make it easier for people to use them. So I think in years past when we had witch hats, we never had any cuts in them. That's something we wanted to do this year. So I think it's just a fun way that you can say, oh, I'm going to get some collage elements and just sit down and make backgrounds, chop them up, sew them, and then have fun with stickers because, well, there's cool ideas when it comes to that. Then she went in and created some cards out of file folders. So we did some file folders, these little mini file folders that we did in the everyday line this year. And I love how she used that as a base for cards. So if you're looking for a different way to create a card, maybe something a little quirky, little file folders are great because they're already cut, they're already done. You could leave the edge, you could cover the edge, you could paint the edge, you could even cut off the tab if you wanted because maybe you wanted this little rounded edge. But I love how she went in and did a lot more collage-y work. You can see a lot of spritz on there. See the mica shine? So she did spritz over that. Spritz specifically over like the backdrops, the collage strips, and the ephemera. And then she used the paper doll. He's one of my favorites. And one of the clipping stickers. There you can see those guys. There's that, isn't that spiral? He's so cool. I love the guys. There's the little moth wings, the transparent wings you can put behind there. They're little masks. No one would bother them here. And then I know this is one of Paula's favorite clippings. Dorothy liked anything spooky. See, but see, she used that part of that circle. So even though you get that big circle in layers, you don't always have to utilize it. You can certainly take this and cut that down onto a card. Brilliant, right? So many ideas. All right. Then we have these. So I always like that really when Cheiron creates cards that she can do a lot of different ideas and do repetition of ideas. So this one she did cards and she did baseboards. So we've got the doors where she popped out the little windows because these are die cut in there. She used that little shattered piece in there, paper doll, the wings, and then just added some elements and did some stitching. Another window. This window, she has the spider web and she added the spider web in there, little paper doll. I love the clippings. Very cool. And then we've got the door. I think the door is also very cool because it's got that baseboard door, the paper doll, the little clipping on there where she's like kind of rapping on the door, but creepy cool. So you can always do something dimensional on your card. You can take any of these elements and so what? So it's a little bulky, a little thick, but that's okay. I think that's just shows that you can make however you want to make. Then we've got these. So we're going to talk about craft stock sparkle. It is pretty sparkly and I think it is beautiful how this just works on so many different things. You're going to see a lot of makes with sparkle. So here she took obviously craft stock sparkle as the backgrounds. This is what I was saying, that when you look at it, it definitely just looks like pattern paper. That's its design. It's never supposed to be glitter cardstock. That's why I call it sparkle, because you just want to add that little bit of sparkle when the light hits it. So it just gives it just that dusting. It's cool paper. You can sew right through it, again, because it doesn't have any glitter. It's just printed and it's just on craft. She did a little bit of distressing on there. She's got not only some wonderful ephemera, but she used those baseboard words with some hardware. And then we've got those great creepy portrait stickers. I think that's so good. So good on that. Love it. Love it. Beautiful, right? So cool to see. Love how she has that one as well. And we've got the Gravekeeper. So my point is, when you're seeing this inspiration, it is about taking some elements and going, oh, you know what? I've got this. I'm just going to sit down and I'm going to do card bases. I'm going to do inking. I'm going to do some of the craft. I'm going to do stitching. And then I'm just going to pick out some elements to layer. And repetition is key, because I think when you see all of the cards, that to me is like the beauty of that. You've got those cards. We've got these. I mean, look, there's so much inspiration, right? So many cool things. Then you've got your file folders. If you wanted to use that, you can do some tall collage cards, or you can just use your collage strips. I mean, that's a lot of inspiration to sit down and use ideology. So if you're selling yourself short from an inspiration thing, going, oh, this stuff it's too complex for me, just sit down and get out your favorite stuff and cut and paste and have a good time with it. So great card, Cheiron. Thank you. I love this. And the makers, there is a maker link in the description box. I know Mario will be sharing a lot of links to makers, but there is a maker page on timholtz.com where you can see what the makers do. Many of them share on social, not only this month, but really throughout the season, because, you know, Halloween's not until October, so we got a while. All right. Next make, when it comes to using sparkle, look at this. We got a very cool make. Tami B created this one. So let's talk about that. There we go. So she used sparkle. I'm going to try to tip it just so you can see. And she created this little treat holder. So the box, the base, and I'll go ahead and I'm going to lay this down. They shouldn't all fall out too bad. There we go. So the base is that Vignette divided drawer that I talked about. So it's kind of like a cheese box. You can take out the dividers, which she did, and now it's just one long box. You see that? It's perfect for adding treats. She went in and used backdrops. There's the typography in all of its beauty. See, distress paint, you can just paint it. Again, alcohol ink, glitter, anything you want. There's a little confections. Now the confections, because they're clay, you can also slice them. So Tami went in, I'll hold this up a little bit. So she went in and wanted to make them thinner, so you can slice them. You can just take a razor. You just want to be careful. Take a razor blade, or you can even take your scissors and cut them. It's a soft clay. but see how dimensional that typography is? That's what I love about it. And the letters are molded, so just know this. It's like some of them are a little wonky, you know, like you can see the little E, that's got a little up kick, but maybe there's another E that isn't, or something is a little smaller or shorter. We took vintage letters and we molded them as is, so imperfection for the win, just know that. But then she filled it with these amazing little pillow boxes using the Sizzix pillow box die that I did out of Sparkle. And look at how great those are to die cut, because remember, this is craft stock, so it is craft. It makes it easy to cut and fold. I love how she used the transparencies in there. She's got all sorts of little treats. This is mummy cloth that I was talking about at the very beginning. Mummy cloth can easily be inked. You can use spray stain, distress ink, any kind of ink. You can use coffee or tea and it will stain it. So she wrapped those in mummy cloth, but she did all sorts of different ones. I love the transparent moth set she added. I saw some different varieties. So I'm going to just pull a bunch of these boxes out as we go. So these all have the little moths on there. This one's got a little bit of collage paper. So you see that on the window. You can collage paper on transparencies if you want. Then she used you have little tiny screw eyes. If you have the Vignette hardware, the screw eyes, you can just screw right into these because again, it's soft clay and you can turn the candy into a charm. Isn't that great? Little candy corn charm. So think about that. Get those little tiny screw eyes and just screw them in. You can start with a little poke hole. There's the tiny little tags. This little series, look at these, using paper dolls. So this is another idea that if you're like, okay, well, I'm not really making Halloween cards. Okay, maybe you're making great little treat boxes and all sorts of things. There's all types of different elements that you can add. And I love all the different things in it, okay? So like, I'll just show you like when you open it. So I think I'm gonna untie this. I don't normally untie bows, but I like it. It's like untying a package. So here's the whole idea of the pillow box. Remember the die allows that little finger. Oh my gosh, look at that. Remember these? These are like little noisemakers, the little clickers. Yeah, vintage noisemakers. Little candy.
Those are fun.
Oh my gosh. Wait, what is this? Is this a note to me? Oh no. Oh, it's a little joke. Oh my gosh. Why was a jack-o'-lantern scared? Because it had no guts. Oh my gosh. Tammy B. What's a pumpkin's favorite Western? The gourd, the bad, and the ugly. Oh, Tammy B. You're the best. So just imagine, see, you just want to treat little treats and jokes. Like this is all about inspiration. That's why I said these lives can go on forever because you can come back and watch them again and again. They will be time-stamped next week, so you'll be able to come back and find specific makes. But gosh, I just love these. Oh, here's a whole nother set of these. Ooh, look at these. There's a lot of good candy in here. I love these. Those little fluffy mints that just like dissolve. For candy, they taste like orange. I love that. Great fun treats. Look, some autumn mix, one of my favorites. Just clever ideas. So I love just starting out with, you know, party ideas, little tricks and treats. You can, look how she just glittered those little wood balls. So you can get those at the craft store. You can take some little hardware. It's just cute. And then afterwards, they can still fill it with all sorts of different things. It's a lot of fun. And I think that's what you have to be mindful of when it comes to working and making things for the season is just let yourself do fun things. Give yourself permission to just do some creative ideas, and nothing wrong with doing them in repetition, and you have some great ideas for the season. Oh. That was fun. I know. I just want to open all the jokes, huh?
I felt it wrong.
It's good. I love that. All right. So this next make, Stacy created this one. This is using an Etcetera panel from Stampers Anonymous. You can start with any foundation. It doesn't always have to be a Vignette box or something idea-ology. It could be anything. But I love the ability to go in and take a structure and then just kind of alter it. So she used the craft stock plaid sparkle. Look at that. Look at these great colors. See how well it pairs with idea-ology. You can take some stencils, a little mica. I love how she's got this metal hoop that she used in the center. So this is a great piece that could sit on a mantle or display. We've got peculiar and curious things. So of course that's the new word plaque. Great twig, great stick, Stacy. Some moss, there's some mummy cloth wrapped in there. The mummy cloth is very gauzy, so you can kind of pull it apart and just use it as a filler as well. That's why we love having mummy cloth out every year. Ooh, there's that adornment. See, I thought it was actually natural. I didn't even know she used it. You see it? There's that leaf that I was telling you about. That was so beautiful. The one that Paula was so sad. I am too. That branch is beautiful. But see, it works so good in fall because it's beautifully organic. I love it. Oh, there's another one. See, look at that little paint. I didn't even notice it. Blended in so well. That says a lot for just how cool they were. But beautiful make, Stacy. There's that moon in the background. That's from Layers. There's some of the wings. So see those little transparent bat wings behind him? So you got those little boys with the bat wings in front of the moon sitting on a stick. Peculiar and curious things indeed. Great make. So see, you can just kind of elevate, just go a little bit at a time and say, oh, I'm going to just take these panels because these are etc. It just allows you to kind of build a foundation first for your makes. Then we're going to get into just all different types of makes. I love that makers always do their own thing, and we have a lot of different bookmakers. You're going to see a lot of different book ideas, little junk journals throughout. Marina created this. I love that she started with a vignette box. So this was a divided box. We actually used to do these big ones. This has been retired, but it's a great size. But if you don't have one of these boxes, you can find a wood box, or maybe you find a tray somewhere. And you know, most trays are kind of like this, but think of it this way. Think of how you can turn it into a vignette. So she's got all sorts of great elements on the outside. We've got that craft stock sparkle that she just used as panels. The whole back is done. I'm going to flip that around just so you can see. So depending on how this is displayed, I love how she also has that craft stock. But it just does. It works so well. All those plaids work together. So you don't have to be all matchy-matchy. Man, look at that face. That's so good. Dreadfully wicked. So this could be like her whole little story box. But I love how Marina went in and really created a whole kind of story time, if you will. This lights up. So there's tiny lights inside. I'll show you how that works. So there's a tie here. That opens and it reveals a book. So if you're a bookmaker, a junk journal, this is a great way that you can have a book or a journal and have it part of another display. It's also great to finish the display if the book is coming out, because you might want this sitting up and you might want the book by it. So keep that in mind. But inside here, she's got her little pack of tiny lights, little idea-ology tiny lights, and that's going to light up those jacks. Look at that glowing, eerie green. So we talk about green and purple. We're talking Halloween green, Halloween purple. Not necessarily like Christmas green, that eerie glow. But I love how she's got the stacked jacks. We've got little books. You're going to see a lot of these little books. These little books are from the book covers in the ephemera pack. There's a lot of tutorials. I know Tami B, Zoe, many makers, Emma have done tutorials on making these books. They're little book covers that you can make your own books, and that's what Marina did here. There's some confections in the back you can see. There we go. I'll just tip it. There we go. So the light shows inside. Little window and transparencies. Then down here you've got the cauldron, and look at those skulls. See that toothy guy? I told you. When you see that toothy guy, he just makes me smile. Hilarious. But I love how the cauldron is full of those new little mini skulls. That's why I wanted to do that new size. Skull and bones. There's a little pillar candle. That's in conservatory, that pillar. And there's a drippy candle. Typography. So see, I love how she just went in. You could alcohol ink this or paint it, change it any color. You can dip it into things. Then we've got that collage in the background. And then we have a book. I mean, the whole thing, like you have this and then you still have like a book or a journal that's inside. Now, the books I'm going to show you is using the Booklet Folio. This was the foundation that they worked with. It doesn't mean you have to start with this. If you know how to do books, you do you, all right? The reason we do a lot of these folios and ideology is to give you a foundation to then completely alter. You don't have to stick to the script. This particular one comes with an open folded piece of, this is all mixed media, heavy stock by the way. It has some gusseted flaps. It also has these sewn signatures. It's got thread in here to tie on, and it's got the ribbon that she used to tie it together. So that's kind of the foundation for this. So I love how she went in. I haven't even opened it yet. We'll see what we're going to achieve. We've got that baseboard frame. Look at the sign. Little trick or treat. See? Remnant rubs on there. Some confection candy. I like that she did the skull and crossbones on that gravestone from Graveyard. I love all the papers. So great. These are all ideology backdrops. We did some coordinating elements in layers. So these elements coordinate with the backdrops that are in the backdrops. Let's see. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is a favorite. Paula and I love her. She's so good. The Jilted Bride. I love how there's that arch backdrop. I also like, look at this little vintage tool that adds to her veil. Little sellotape. You're going to see a lot of that tape used. A beautiful garden. And you can see, there we go. That's what I was just talking about. See how thin these are? So these are still those baseboards, but because she wanted it in a book that would be flat, you just peel off some of the back. You don't have to do that to all of them. This one is still thick. See, so this is Lost and Found Objects. And there's all sorts of just great little pullouts. You can use the paper dolls. You can use the bat wings behind them. These are just collage strips if you want just quick collage. Isn't that great? Art is just so fun. And then this book is designed where it's got these signatures that can be attached to the book. So you can use thread here. You can also use, Marina used thicker stuff. You can use elastic if you want to. But it just adds, these books are already sewn for you. You just get to tie those signatures into the book. But I love how she used some of the pockets. There's a little collage strip that comes out, that little pull out. So it could be bookmarks because the collage strips are already collaged, but it doesn't mean you can't add another layer and do another pocket. Look at that. Collage strip with a pocket. I love that. Your ephemera. This is where you can just go and have great fun. I love how she used the same one on there. All right, little tabs, number stuff. There's some of the ephemera cut out. There's the portrait. See, I never know. I always worry, am I going to destroy? There's something, oh, it's like I see a head. Oh, fabulous. Look at her. Look at her dress. All polka dotted. She's holding poison. That's so good. Great little, because see, and I saw that, I'm like, what's that little reveal? See, bewitched. Look at her. So good, right? There's a little transparent moths. Then we get in, there's more transparent moths. I love this. This is this is the gusseted flip. That's part of the whole background foundation of that book, the whole thing that wraps around. So the little tab, look at him. He's cute with those little moth wings, witch hat, looked a bit frightened. Love how she's holding that skull. All right, what do we got here? I don't know if I'm supposed to, I think so. I'm just gonna pull this. No instructions, so I don't mean to damage it. I think this is, oh yeah. So this is one of the file cards too. It has these little accordion files in there. So this little piece is from another pack. I'll talk about those a little later in the live. I love how she included one of those. So now it's like this little accordion pullout. That's another card with that little window. Look at that spider web in there. Oh man, so good. I love the photos. The spider in there. See all these little ephemera pieces. So when you think, oh, 123 pieces, that's a lot. Well, it's because we want you to use it. We want you just to glue and stick and layer and not be afraid to utilize all of those pieces. I think that's really cool. All right. We go through another page. We've got this little pull out. Oh my gosh, look at that little hat on him. That's hilarious from the sticker book. Sellotape. See, that sellotape is just going to be, really is going to be your friend, especially for Halloween, because it just adds so much creep. I love the raven on his shoulder, the little pocket right there. And that's a signature. And then you can see in the background. So this little house, this is collage paper. So you can see that really creepy, that house that could be collaged on any kind of paper. Then we've got, I love having the bat wings transparent. It's just because it adds that little bit of shine. Kind of fun. There's a little witch hat. Again, more layer embellishments. There's that piece that I talked about that we incorporated into ephemera. Look at that. I think that's layers. I love this. I mean, really the sellotape, just how it goes over stuff, that translucent look. It's really perfect Halloween goodness. But I think this idea, the whole concept of this is really cool about doing a book in a box. So even if you're making smaller books, we have smaller boxes. I just think that's really a clever way to incorporate it. And the makers, that's the thing. You know, when it comes to ideology, they just go all out to create and make. So what a cool make with the lights and everything.
Sellotape,
Good.
that isn't every day, right?
Sellotape is every day.
That's
Yes, that came out in May. Yeah. Yep. Really good.
Thanks.
Beautiful. You're welcome. All right. So another make, no surprise that this maker took a completely different approach, because when Mario brought this in, I'm like, I don't think it's the right season. And then I read it and I'm like, I know exactly who made this. Luise created this one, a white Halloween. So I'm just gonna, there's little tiny lights in here. So let me light this up. Oh, does it work? I thought I had it. Well, maybe we need some new batteries, Mario, so we can light this up.
Feel good?
No, he'll grab some batteries. We'll see if it lights up. Sometimes the batteries go. But this is a it's a vignette tray, all white for Halloween. So I love the little Jack Snowman that she did with the broom. So if you're into Halloween, but maybe you're not into the traditional orange and black, you could totally go for it. Especially if people are like, oh yeah, I get snow on Halloween. But everything like the bubbling cauldron, the skulls, the tombstones, she's got little flowers in there, the drippy candle, everything is like a little blanket of snow. And then she has her tiny lights, which we're going to see if we can get to work.
Give those a try.
Let's give that a whirl. Tiny lights, sometimes they're good and sometimes no. Maybe there's a short somewhere in here. I don't know. Yeah. Well, it apparently lights up. Maybe she has a photo of it lit up, or I'll just give it to Mario and he'll be able to see if he can get it to work. But then she has a book. So the book really sits in this tray. So it's another great idea of incorporating a tray or a piece with a book. All right. So this book is very wintry. There you go, Mario. We've got white Halloween with a little bone. So again, typography. I love that on the cover of the journal just because it's so dimensional and stitched on with the bone. And then of course that lace and the collage paper. And we're going to go ahead and open this up. So this has a lot of great stitched detail. I mean, you can see Luise goes in and just adds a lot of lace. There's that clock piece, some die cuts. So again, you can take, this is what I was saying at the beginning, look through all of your stuff. So like taking your Sizzix dies and just cutting them out because you want to add a little bit more organic look or vibe to it. You can completely go in and change how all of this works. This is that same book. So the signature, that same book that Marina used as well. It's that signature with the flap. That's what Luise used, but she used it in a totally different way. So let's go through her book. So you can see here we've got the page cut out with that baseboard frame. I love seeing those little boys in there. It is so wintry. Dead quiet. I believe you're scared. There's a ghost in the room. So good. Skull and crossbones. Looked a bit frightened, but see all the little details in here. And again, that whitewash I think really makes a cool difference. Then we can see here, portrait. I love his little candy boutonniere there, Lost in the Darkness. Now see, she peeled off some of that piece as well. It's a great trick when you're using those baseboards. But I also love the florals and the die cuts. There's a lot of crackle paste, so distressed crackle paste. It's got just that white kind of gesso base. The darkened house, the fun house. See, just every detail. I think that's what's cool about junk journals. You just go and like really have a good time with all of the elements. So there's a skull on top of that. Really cool. Little ghostly. Collage paper in the background. So that's another thing if you want to mute stuff down, collage paper, and then you can paint on that. But yeah, all these little pinned on little elements. Gosh, those little scratchy. See that? It's like scratchy little webs. Just go in and create some scratches. Looks like spider webs. That's so cool. Wicked. Yes, wicked with the, love the, again, collage paper, the wings, and the lace. Oh, all right. So this was a signature. Now, typically this was the piece that like folds in, but now there's a whole other piece on the back. Cool. So this is the flap that would have like folded in, but I love how see how she kind of made it more of like a zigzag, little zigzag book. That's cool, like an accordion book. So that's the opening this way, and then we're going to flip it in. We'll open it this way for skill and amusement. So now we've got just those pieces, and then this is just it's like a little calendar tab. So I love these little strips. So she just created a whole calendar. I think these numbers, this is from the paint by number, or the sign painter. I think this is sign painter because they're much smaller. Very cool. And look at these little tabs. Oh, you can switch out the heads. Oh my gosh. Remember this as a kid where you can just totally play dress up and switch it around? That's hilarious. That's so good. That is so fun. So it's just kind of like a planner. Yep. Found some time for the craft room. 6 p.m. That's really clever just to turn this into a planner. And you can stitch stuff together, but also have pieces that like fold over. See how like that changes the dress? So some she has like loose and others she has connected. No rules. That is so much fun. What a clever idea really for using papers and pages and numbers and yeah, doing journals. And again, that's just laced with some crackle paste and collage paper. It just has such a cool vibe, right? How fun is that? So I mean, that could be really anything. It could be a planner, it could be a countdown, it could be a scheduler, or it could just be something where you do for memory keeping. We couldn't get the lights to work, but I love the idea that it can go into a tray. Great theme. Shocking theme, but great theme, because you have a white Halloween. So again, that is the booklet folio that they used. I'll try to call that out as we do different books, because they're all the different books design. And we're going to get into more of a traditional palette. So we'll start with this one that Paula created using the idea-ology clipboard. The great thing about these, you can use any kind of clipboard. So you can go and find a clipboard, you can repurpose a clipboard, but we do these mini clipboards, and the mini clipboards are designed where you can take a little Phillips head screwdriver and remove this piece, so that allows you to paint and collage it. You can do something separate, and then you can attach this back on. But again, it's also a great idea that you can just alter anything that you want. I love how Paula went in and painted with candy corn colors in the background, did a little apothecary, a little sparkly on that baseboard frame, and then used typography here for the candy. Little collage paper in the back. Little girl, and look at that. She's like holding a little piece of candy. You see that? So good. And then all the little sparkly confections. This is another, I just noticed this. You see these tiny little pieces of candy? Because I was wondering, like, what is she holding? But she's holding like a little orange and white striped candy. It's taking the candy stick from confection and just cutting it up into little pieces, and you get all these tiny little mints because it's swirled in there. Because again, it's done out of clay. That's really, really cute, P. I know she filled a bottle with one maybe last Christmas, but seeing it all glued down like that with the glitter, and this is distressed rock candy. So distressed rock candy glitter is that clear glitter that's going to make everything sugary. That's adorable. Here for the candy. You know it. You know I am. I am. I'm always here for the candy.
You are.
I am. So here is a reliquary dome that Zoe made. There are tiny lights in here. So she carved out the bottom of this. This is another great idea. Because the base is cork, you can go in and carve that out if you want to hide your tiny lights. I think hiding it with just a piece of tape is good. Let's see if these work. There we go. They light up. But that's a clever idea. You don't always have to do that. You know, if you're putting this on a mantle or something where you can hide that little battery pack because they're replaceable, you can do that. This is a reliquary dome. This is what I was saying about that dome. It's got a great space to work in because you have that high arch, but both sides are flat, so everything shows up perfectly. But here Zoe used, oh, this is classic. I didn't even show this because I've not found any of these for years. This was one of the original resin buckets we did in idea-ology. Old school pumpkin pail. I loved it before we did the trick or treat. So well done, Zoe, for sacrificing one of those pieces. But she went in and just did some paint, a little bit of, that's that design tape that I was telling you about for Halloween. Then we've got the candy bucket. But look how she went in and altered the candy. I'm going to I think I should be able to take this off. It's not glued on. There we go. Let's take off the glass, take a little closer look at this. So you can see, I love how she went in and use alcohol markers, because she's done this before. You can use alcohol markers or Sharpies, and you can go in and add another color. So take the black and white candy and then just go in with orange, and now you can make multicolored candy. Isn't that perfect? Then she used, oh, this is conservatory. I was like, look at that. So she painted, remember those come in that kind of murky green? That is that piece upside down. So that's the urn where she used it as a pedestal. I love that. I love that idea for that. It's a great pedestal painted black. And then she did the column and just painted it orange and black. Those are perfect for that. I love how she also took the tiny lights and just kind of strung them throughout. And the candies. What a cool make. This is a great way to display those. I freaking love this one. I don't know. Maybe it won't make it back. Yeah, my box. I love that. That's just really, it's just cool. I love all the elements about it. I really love the height of that, and yeah, just it's all the stuff that makes me smile. And really, if it lights up, that's just cool. It doesn't have to, but it's very cool. I love that. Where are the lights hidden? I showed you in the carved out base, in the cork. There you go. And tiny lights, you work them in. It's just a little wire. You don't really notice it unless you're looking for it. See, it actually goes across when you look for it. But that's the beautiful thing about tiny lights. Yeah, I even see people going, Tim's pile. Yeah, I don't normally claim, right? I'm pretty good about that. But when it comes to candy, I don't know. Has a place in my heart. All right, so Richele made this. This is one of the Curio clocks. Again, tiny lights here, and the tiny lights. I mean, you can really put tiny lights wherever you want. She hid hers underneath, if you hide them underneath, you would need to, you can feed them through, you can drill a little hole, or you can feed them through. I'll just bring in, I think my clock is over here. You know, I wasn't so nifty with the power tools, so mine are stuck in the back and they just go, see my lid's not even all the way on the back, they just kind of slide under there. But really, whatever works. Tiny lights are just that, they're tiny. They're actually quite easy to hide. So let's light this up. That's what I love about the clocks. I wish they would be around longer, but you know, they're just fun. You either get it and love it or you don't. I love how she went in and used paper, some of the backdrops around that to create that industrial strip, and then just use the new screw heads. So these are just flat, these are glue on. So it just looks like it's been riveted onto the clock. That's very cool, Richele. And then a little paper doll holding a spider. I know everyone's gonna have like spider envy. We're gonna be stocking up on adornment spiders. There's that. I love that little trick or treat. See, you can light, they look good whether you light them up green like Marina did, purple like Richele did, or white like Zoe did. It's good. There's the little skulls, the bones. Here, I'm gonna just tip it in light. There you go. Now you can see that sign with the typography boo, spiderweb in the back. Isn't that just great? Just so fun to like glow at night, and then haunted memory where she used that word plaque. It's just a great make when it comes to working with elements. And that's what I love about the clock. It's very small. Yes, you're working in the round, but there's no glass in the front, and this back is fully removable, so it allows you to kind of work from both sides, if you will. All right, love it. So good. All right, great job, Richele. Next, we have a vignette tray that Paula did. Paula did a lot of makes for Idea-ology, as she should. I mean, it is our baby, and she loves making. She says like it's her favorite. Well, and Idea-ology Halloween, it's like her favorite time to make. So she just like made, and she's like, I made something else. Oh, I made something else. I made something else. I'm like, great, keep making. This is a small vignette tray. And I love how she just went in, and this is showing you the collage strips. So just taking 2 collage strips, and look at that background. How great is that? Do some collage medium, a little grunging. But this is what's great about collage strips. They're already pieced, so you don't have to. It saves so much time. I also love how it's got the collage strips around the outside. There's a little, that's just a little old book page. That's very cool. Yeah, utilize old stuff. There's peculiar and curious things in green because, well, it is wicked. I love how she's got that broom that's from Graveyard, just kind of wrapped in some string. I love how she tinted the paper doll green, little alphabet. I love that. Then the baseboard window, there's the spider web back there, the bat wings. There's her little sign. And these are tiny fasteners, so they're kind of like hardware, but you can also use hardware heads, but tiny fasteners are tiny little brads, but they work like great little nails. Oh, there are the planks. How fun is that? She created this box. So these are matchboxes. So you can take the little matchboxes, and you can use the Idea-ology matchboxes, but they've been retired, but you can take the Sizzix matchbox die, cut that, and I love using matchboxes to add a little interest to the vignette. So again, let me tip it to the light. I know it's kind of upside down, but my light's coming in this way. But you can see there's a little figure stand with the black cat. There are the vials. Those are the tiny vials that I was talking about at the beginning. Some little skulls. Isn't that fun? Just so good. All of those details. And all of this little stuff is mummy cloth. I'm guessing it's mummy cloth. Mummy cloth that's literally just pulled apart because it makes the best little filler. That's why we love mummy cloth every year. And people go, what do you do with that stuff? I'm like, what don't you do? You can wrap it like a ribbon like Tami did, or you just pull it apart and it becomes a little filler. What a great make. Isn't that fun? I love the colors. I love the purple tiny lights behind that with the green. It's so good. The purple, yeah. The purple and green for Halloween, so good. I love that we have those because they're both great colors. This is almost like a black light purple. That's what I love about it. And then you can see collage strips inside in the background as well. Little cello tape. You'll probably see it on every make. Not surprised. Cool. Those planks are just fun. So much fun. I love the inspiration. I love seeing what makers do because this is the first time I'm really getting a chance to look at it up close. This is kind of the mixed media make that Cheiron did. So when I saw this, I had to do a double take. I'm like, who made this? Because like I said, she typically sticks to cards, but that just shows that like you can be inspired to go beyond the card and you still get to do you. So Cheiron created this. This is a vignette display panel. So that's the panel where she's using the flat side. I love how she took the collage strips. So there's just 4 strips on there. She did the stitching. So you can do all your stitching and kind of treat it as if you're making a sheet of paper, you know, running it through, stitching it, splattering, doing whatever your grunge is. Then she glued this down. This right here, this shield, this is an Etcetera facade. I talked about Etcetera. That's from Stampers Anonymous. It's actually a paper board, but it's pretty thick. But you can get it in tags and panels, but facades have these little window openings. And then she went in and put, so you see the bubbles? She alcohol inked them all different colors, orange and black, and glued them on. But see how it casts the light? It looks like there's lights in here, but there are no lights. It's just the light shining through the bubbles to light this up. Then we've got that wonderful, wonderful portrait behind the shattered, and then typography wicked. See again, alcohol ink, little smudge there, and then that broomstick from Graveyard. Isn't that cool? Like, great make. So again, you know, you can go from cards and just gluing paper, building that thing, sticking that down. It's just cool. But I love all the little bubbles, like she was creating a whole potion. Neat, right? Very cool. I know. I love it. Yeah.
Are you sure?
I love it. All right. This next one, Tami B created this. So this is a book nook. So a book nook, if you're not familiar with a book nook, it's like building a box that you put in between books on a bookshelf. So Tami has a great tutorial on how to make these faux books. So I love how she made this look like books, but it's really a box. Okay. And she's got some tiny lights in there. So it lights up, but this one's gonna be weird because it's a nook. It's really hard to light it up. So I'm gonna have to, gosh, I don't even know how I'm gonna show this. I don't know how I'm gonna show this in live. Maybe you can, maybe you can just use, can you turn on your flashlight for your phone, please? Sure. And then just shine it in here. That'd be great. It's a very cool nook, but you can see it's really deep. So it's hard to get light in there, but it has a light. So on a bookshelf, it lights up. There we go. That's good. All right, so I'm gonna use Mario's, okay. So we're going to shout out, it's got Gravekeeper in there. And then she's got that really cool baseboard with the planks. And then look at this creepy cemetery. At night, it is wicked cool because I put it in my bookshelf. It's really, really cool. So there you can see that it's got all of the headstones in there. She's got the conservatory, the skull. She even did some of the brick paper on both sides. There's the ornate gates, some of the twigs. But yeah, it's really creepy cool. So it's like this creepy Gothic cemetery. It's almost like you want fog to kind of come out and go in there. It's really cool, isn't it? So I love that. I love the idea of taking these elements and being like, oh, I want to display it. And I think, that's really great. Just to make, I love how she makes them look like old books. But yeah, there'll be a photo of it. I know Tami's going to share it, but I also took a photo of it, and it will be on the website following the live. So I got a really good shot of it. I went and put it in my book cabinet because I wanted to see how it works. So I took that photo. I think it's very, very, it's very cool. There you go. There's a little bit of that glow in there. Oh, so good. So good. Brilliant idea. Book nook. All right. We're going to keep going. We got a lot of stuff that we're going to talk about. This next one we're going to talk about, Paula created this as well. And she used several elements. I'm going to talk about this vignette. I intentionally left it out at the beginning. This is another vignette SKU. This is called the card file. It's also a wood box. It's got a divider, but this has a cool vintage metal pull. It was designed to be used as a card file. You can still use it as a box either way. So you can stand it up if you want. You can take out the hardware. It's got just little screws. But this makes a great little mini bookshelf or vignette, but its design is a card file. And that's exactly what Paula created. And she creates many of these. She said she had the most fun making this. So I can see that because she got to use all her favorite stuff, papers and stamps. But the elements that are in here are these. Doesn't mean you have to use it. If you got a paper trimmer and punches and some patience, make your own. But we did this. These are file cards and file cards too. These are SKUs in idea-ology. And what they are different cards already cut to fit the card file. There's a little wiggle room, so it allows you still to kind of embellish beyond or wrap in paper. And there's different styles. This is the early batch. This is the newer batch, so we actually put what's on it. When these get reordered, they'll have a sticker on as well. But you get multiples. This is the same mixed media heavy stock. So these, you have these little notched pockets. So these are already built, glued, everything. You can ink them and stamp them. Then we did these little cards. So these are just individual cards that's are the same size. So these aren't meant to go in the pocket. If you want them to go in the pocket, you just need to trim it down. This is just meant to be a single card that goes in. Then we did some folded cards. So same idea. If you want the folded card to go in the pocket, just trim a little bit of the edge and it will fit in the pocket. And then we have some file tab cards. So that's what is in this first pack. That's the original file cards, 1 if you will. And then the newest one, file cards 2, a lot of different elements. We've got these little coin envelopes, again, already made. You can ink and stamp and do whatever you want. Library pockets. So again, if you want any of this stuff to fit in, you just trim it down. All the stuff is supposed to be the same width by design, thinking you may want to use other things for the pockets. Then we've got tab pockets. We've got this kind of the same little notch pocket, except this time there's a die cut hole. So when you saw like Cheiron's, I think it was Marina's book that had some of the windows, you can utilize that. And then there's even these little accordions. This was in Marina. See that little accordion? So you can take that little accordion. You could also lay it down if you have dies, die cut your own windows. So take this piece, lay your own little framelits, run it through, and you could have windows everywhere. I mean, there's so many different things, but this just saves you from trying to find this paper large enough that you can cut and score, but certainly you can make it out of whatever you want. We're a huge fan of mixed media heavy stock and how it stands up. So let's take a look at what Paula created. All of these cards, again, go into this box. I love how she just kept it wood, but just painted it. Did a little sanding. You can see in the front, the strange story. So we've got a lot of cool elements, and I always like the repetition of what Paula creates. So we've got these little cards, and she did tell me, she goes, you can untie because she stitched the ribbon on. Look at that, so you don't lose it. That is clever, P. So this is using a lot of collage papers, so that's going to be the imagery here, and then a lot of stamps. So I did a set of stamps, and Paula left me a little note. That's how I know about it. I did a set of stamps last month, and one of them was called Tidbits, and it was a lot of little tidbit things. That's what she used for all these cool numbers and things that we're going to see throughout. So like, again, Tidbits, that's from Deconstructed. Oh, look at that stitching around that ephemera. So there's a little accordion card. So I love that she's got, again, that portrait, a little bird, physicians, just cool stuff. And I love that great stitching that goes around. Lost in the Inky Darkness, that's a collage strip. And again, sewn on. So really clever idea to take some seam binding ribbon and then stitch it on. So if you are going to untie it, it stays on. The next one, a little card and a little pull out. So again, collage strip, little sellotape, but you can trim down that card. I love all the sewing details and ephemera, and I love that transparency. But see, by having that collage tape, you can use double stick tape, so you can see just a little bit of that tape, but you can also stick it on that way. That's so cool. I love all the details. Again, sellotape, stamped, cards, little ink splattering. So this could be something that you can build and actually fill during the month, or you can gift it. But I think if you made this for yourself and you wanted to use it as like a little memory planner, a little memory keeper, just cool. But look at all these great little details. This one's got a little tag, tiny clips. I love all of the little stitching around it. Card with an eyelet and a little tag. Beware. That's so good. So cool. And I really love these. I saw these kind of standing up. I love how she took that little pocket envelope and just left it open so she can use the collage paper, use a little sellotape. So good. And there's, oh yeah, there's a tag in there. So look at all these little elements. So you can use Curator. That's a little snippet in there. Then we've got the tape in there. Just great. I love all the clippings. My gosh. I mean, just that one compartment, that's just sitting down and just doing fun. But I'm going to completely just put all of these down because you can see that when you're creating, she gets that idea and then it's like repetition because there's 3 compartments. So she's going to do 3 different themes of that. So when you're making it, you can actually kind of have an idea, get an idea, and just kind of run with it, create with it. I love this. I'm going to open, this one opens with a little tiny clip. So see, instead of the ribbon on this one, there's a little idea-ology tiny clip. Oh, look at that. Look at all those good tidbits. Look at all the stamping, the portrait, the tape, the sewing, the stickers. So much fun. I probably should remember what goes with what. This is no surprise to Paula. This is just, I am so inquisitive and curious. Like I need to like open everything, look at everything, see what's there. Look at her, bewitched. She did not belong in this place. I love that. So creepy, fun, and cool. I love just being able to like have a creative story time. Sharp, cold draft. Prick to the back of her neck. Wow. Very cool. All right, where's that other one? Paul's like, if there was an order that's supposed to go in, she knows that it's not happening.
Take it apart.
Yeah. Just because it's just fun. See, look at that. Again, all the numbers and all those little tidbit elements and collage paper. So collage paper is all going to be that like black imagery that comes in, because you could just collage it on and it just becomes part of the background, and you can tear it and layer it. I love the papers and the ephemera bits. So fun with all of these cards, and I think just having these cards, that's why I talked about it at the beginning, because you know, whenever we're working on ideology, this is the truth. It is challenging for us to convince the brands to offer plain things, because really in our creative space, in our world, you know, we design papers or we design stickers or we design things with the design, okay, if you will. But sometimes I think it's important that this is also part of the design process, about like give people structures. And you know, Ideology really is one of the few brands that just offers structures, that like just plain wood boxes or plain pre-cut things that work in those boxes, or plain glass that you can embellish. And I love that it stays, but I'll be honest, that's the thing that every year I have to fight for to keep around, because it doesn't sell as well as all of the pretty stuff. And I get that. And that's why I wanted to make an effort this time to really show what all of these makers use, and like just how it can just transform into beautiful, amazing things. Like, great job, Paula. I love the papers and the tape and the stitching and all of those things. So many cool, great things. All right, just gonna, I know it was beautiful and it was organized, but you know, Mario will fix it and get it up. But look at that, just like look at all these little tags. See, just all those little details where it just comes out of there. See, the light flickered in these very woods. It has come to dwell among us. I mean, I can see why this is so fun to make, because you just get lost in your own imagination, right? That's the beauty of it. Great. All right. It's cool. All right. Moving on. Let's keep going. We're going to get into another type of book. This is a pocket folio, and this one is a little different. It's got some hardboard covers, so these are actually covered chipboard. It's got a little slot. I did a whole video on the launch in May, but this has a really long accordion with flaps and some of the twills. So we have a couple of makers. We're going to start with Marlies, who created this one. So when I say the covers, it's actually a chipboard, and it's got mixed media on both sides. So this is just covered in backdrops, but you can ink it, you can do whatever. I love how she kind of created this little slide, but it also has Velcro in the back. So you can just use that little Velcro tab, or you can slide it off. But just look at how she transformed that twill tape with a little bit of mummy cloth, the bones. So good. All right. So the book itself is, as I mentioned, an accordion book. And this is another one of those things that when we were designing this for Ideology, it's like we just wanted something really big. So the cool thing about the book itself is it is a continuous sheet of mixed media paper. So these don't have the seams. If you were going to make it yourself, you'd have to, you know, start with whatever size and fold and glue a little tab. So we wanted something that has this really long piece. The covers are not attached. The covers actually, the end of the accordion book has a tab that slides in each cover. So it allows you to create, I'll bring it through slow and then I'll bring it up close. But look at this long, continuous accordion. So what would be really cool about something like this is if you had a mantle, you can make this and that whole thing just sits up on your mantle or a shelf or a table. I just think that's another great thing about an accordion book. It doesn't have to be a book. It can really be an accordion display piece. All right. So let's get in and take a look at what Marlies did. So again, starting with backdrops. So I love that we have some grungy backdrops that are just printed like that. You just glue it on. And then just go in and just start building and creating and adding layers. So there's great little tags in there with the transparencies, the paper. We do have the little polka dotted paper because sometimes you just need a great pattern. Some ephemera. I love the portraits. There are the moths. Again, the baseboards. Then we've got a little pocket here. So here you've got the little, there we go, that little charm right there. I love all these little words. They started out as story sticks years ago, and I think they've just morphed into so many things. I also love that little pocket with the transparency. Things to pull out. Look at that, little stickers. That's from the sticker book. String, little tag, ephemera, just mummy cloth. Isn't it great? I think the imagination that, you know, makers have, especially when they're creating books, all the little pockets and folds and pullouts and all the tricks that people have shared for years, you know, people that do a lot of bookmaking. So here you can you see the skull? That's the collage paper. We've got that skull. And then we've got the ephemera. I love how she used the 31 and the poison for the eye and the mouth. A little screw head here. There's the layers. Look at that moth with a memo pin. That's cool. Little tiny attacher. And then we have this. If it's got a bow, chances are I'm going to untie it. Oh, wow. Look at that. See? That little pull out. And we've got this guy. Look at his eyes. We just loved his eyes. They're so creepy. There's that black and white swirl in the dead of night. I love how many makers really have used the baseboard pieces in their books. That's so cool. Ooh, another great piece. Look at that. There's another piece of collage paper in the back. So we have that spider web. That's also a stamp. Then we have that frame, layers. I love these memo pins. They're really cool. These memo pins are great. They've been around for years. They're also going away, but cool pin. Another little pocket. She used a lot of memo pins. They're very sharp, by the way. They're cool. Look at that. Tags. See, I just want to sit and make little tags. I don't even know what I'm going to do with them yet. Maybe I'll have to then make a book to put them in. I just think this sort of thing is just, it's so much fun to just add and build and just tell a story. The details so good of how the makers make. Really, these memo pens, they're, of course, the time that I see a memo pen used in so many ways are the time that Advanta says are going away. These have like a little slot in them. I love how she's like, every moth, and she kind of used that for the body. It's very cool. And the sellotape, there's the layers and the collage. Another little flap, a little pocket. Cool, creepy, good. And I just, again, all of the little details. I see a lot of people, when you guys are talking in the chat about the details. So the back, you can just stain it, paint it. You could do it double-sided if you want. But I love the idea of having that structure, an accordion book that just gets wrapped up. But when I talk about structures, it really is about how makers, I think I have so many threads tangled up in that Velcro. It's really just about how makers see that structure and what they want to do with it. All right. So this next book, Suzy created. Take a look at that. Same idea. So same structure. It's that same accordion book, but a completely different spin on this. So she used the typography for curiosity. She did a fabric band, and this just slides off. I mean, I guess you can untie it, but it slid off, so that's what I'm doing. I love how she used one of the metal frames, little idea-ology frame, little moth, and it's almost like a pin cushion. But take a look at those transparent moths that just kind of stick out. Isn't that cool? So this book, again, it's that accordion book, and you can see that it opens up into like one magical layer after the next. But the theme on this, definitely the moths. I think that's really cool that mothy theme just kind of goes through the whole deal. And you'll see around the edge as well, and I'll show you this because I can hold this one closer. She just went in and like gilded the edges, either used like a gold paint pen around it. I just think that's a great little detail. So let's get into the book. We've got Collector of Curiosities. Again, using that sellotape just to like trap something underneath it. That's so cool. Because see, it's just got that like plasticky pocket. That is, I'm so happy we have that in the line. Here you can see we've got collage strips in the background, a little baseboard frame. There's a portrait, one of the little tags again. Elixir, I love using any kind of hardware. If you have a texture hammer, you can hammer that down. And then we go to the next page. Just the whole idea like that. Oh, so these moths fly out. Maybe if there's a moth, it means I can pull it out. That's cool. So it just becomes part of the tag. And I love just, I love a good tattered, chewed up edge. But just ripped out and inked, creating a little pocket. That little clip, that's good. This one, am I supposed to do something? No, see. Very cool. Here's the next one. Is this a, oh yeah, woo! For amusement only. Look at that. Love the moths. I love that as like little tabs. Isn't that cool? Oh, see, look at that piece of tape over her eye. Isn't that fabulous? What a great detail. If you guys haven't gotten into sellotape yet, I'm telling you, I did see someone say like Silence of the Lambs, but in the coolest way. In the coolest way. I love that. I love all these moths around here. But that gold edge is also really a cool touch because to me, it kind of ties it all together with that tape. Just makes your eyes go on a dance. The beautiful garden. Yes? Oh, cool. I love being able to just pull these out. And so she's using like, this is a layers, but you can do layers and ephemera as a card and then still do collage paper over it because remember, layers is thicker than ephemera. So that could be your structure. The beautiful garden. She's got a little pin on there. There's that moth. Again, a little collage paper. And just even these little collages here for every pocket, right? This is taking the collage strip, taking the photos out, and then adding the little snippet elements, some tape and the little mini clips. Those are also fun from idea-ology. And then we have just the back. Let's see, does this piece come out? Yep. That card comes out as well. Oh, and this is just like a little, stuck together card. Great. So fun, isn't it? But like I mentioned, when it comes to the books, oh, she even did the back. Stop it right now. This is a double doer. Look at that. So the front is done, and then when you open it, it's like a whole nother book. Come on. Look at that. So that's the back side of this. That is wild. I'm glad I checked. So cool with the layers and ephemera. Because see, an accordion book, yes, you can pull it apart, but if you just hold it, that's why we wanted to do chipboard covers, you can also turn the pages like a book, just holding it together. So I think that's great. Let's take a look at those little kids. We love his face. So good, huh? Wow. Again, little ephemera. I just love the tape across the eyes. That's just been like one of the great touches. I need to start doing that. Very cool. With the layers, I love those frames that we did, the photo studio. That was part of the everyday line. We have a whole pack of these old frames. So if you're looking for these old frames, we came out with those in May. It's Layers Photo Studio. It's just great. And again, more of those tape pieces. It really just, it lends itself to collage, right? It just kind of, when you have a lot of floating pieces before, when you did collage, a lot of people try to overlap and create. I think that tape just gives it a whole nother approach to it. Wow. What a cool make. And when it's all together, it's just so definitely a book of curiosities. Isn't that fun? And then you got a fabric band. Like I said, this probably opens, but the fact that it slid off and I don't have to tie it a bow again, I'm on it. Great book, Suzy. And many of these makers, I know that there's probably so many techniques and details that they do. Many of them share on their YouTube channel or social media. So it's really important that you follow them if you want to know more of the details and the how-tos. But yeah, both of those books are using the pocket folio. We didn't call it an accordion folio because we already have one called that. This one's called the pocket folio because they have the little pockets that kind of fold out. That's what Suzy used to put those tags in. Cool make. Amazing. All right. Now we're going to go to do a few vignettes. Gosh, I have so many. I get to move stuff down the row. I love it. All right. This next vignette, Zoe created this. Zoe Hillman. There's tiny lights in here. Oh, there we go. Look at that cauldron. Look at that cauldron just bubbling up. So Zoe created this vignette display panel. Vignettes are just great because you can build other scenes on here. So here she took this panel. It's got backdrops covered all around. I even love the backdrop because she's got the brick down here and then she's got like the damask up there, almost like wallpaper. But then she made a little scene. So we've got the window. In the back, there's one of the scenes. I think that scene is it's either in Ephemera or Layers. We have that old haunted house. But I love the shattered windows. See how great those stained shattered windows are? Perfect. Then she used some Etcetera pieces. So these are Etcetera. It's that same board from Stampers Anonymous, but you can cut this. So you can just go in with a little craft knife and cut. So she made little shelves. But look at this wicked little room. So she's got years of skulls. So these are the new ones. These are years past. So I love how she kind of mixed that up. There are the drippy candles layered up there with the little candle holder. There's the frame from Manor. That's what I was showing you last year. And see how she's got one of those portraits under there. Then she's got the broom. There's a little cat from the figure stand. So you don't have to use a stand. I love the little cat there. The cauldron. Those are filled with bubbles. These have been, let's shut off the light and just see if they have been inked or not. Yes. So see how they're green right now? So Zoe went in and alcohol inked those. So this way they look green with or without the light. The light just adds a great touch to it. Paper doll, again, a spider. I love the year of the spider. So here you can see there's the glass, the cork vial. There's the tiny vial. See, she's got glitter in that one. There's that little, see those little tags? That's why we needed more. Pumpkins. That's why you need pumpkins. Sad these were around there many years, really. In Advance's defense, we had pumpkins for probably 5 years before they've been gone. And then there's one of the little books. So see just how great those book covers and how you can make a little book to go on a shelf. What a fun make. So this could go on a wall. If you are going to stand them up, just be mindful of like how heavy you make it. So see how that could be a little top heavy. So if you wanted to set it up, just weight something behind it. You know, maybe if you could tape something down, do it. Or if you could just set a book behind it, that'll help sit it up. Or you can just hang it on a wall. But what a great make. Great job, Zoe. It's really good. I see comments about we need this for new makers. If you didn't join us at the very beginning, the pumpkins are still available. They've just been retired, so you should get them while you can. Then you can load up on them like I did, right? Exactly. I did. All right, this next one, Stacy created this. I'd like to say I understand it. I kind of do, but I'm guessing. So I'm telling you right now, I'm guessing on how this was done. It's an idea-ology vignette tray, which is very cool. I love how she incorporated the backdrops in here. So it kind of looks like an old cigar box where she used that backdrops paper and then she used another piece of backdrop. It just seamlessly looks like an old box. She also went in and added some of the nails. So these are the little tack nails where it's hammered in. So it really does look like a built, that's what I'm saying. I'm guessing that it's idea-ology because it does look like a tray. What's interesting though is like the front of this. So the front of this, it's almost as if there's chipboard. I'm not sure if Stacy's watching, but it's almost as if there's a piece of chipboard because this is like a little recessed vignette. So I'll hold it up just so you can see. So it's like she used the tray and then she put a vignette box in the tray, but then covered it with chipboard so it's still firm on the top. Does that make sense? It's very, very cool. So this piece has like mummy cloth around it. All types of great little layers. There's the bones. I love the little owl on there. Wicked cool, right? I think it's so good. The little moss and the florals. And then she's got a baseboard window with a piece of shattered. So there's that stain shattered. And then she's got this little tiny cracked little knob. See, there's the lock and the chain. That comes on the Gothic gates. But I love all these little clips and rolled papers. And it's just really, it's really chunky. It's really textural. Like it just makes your fingers want to dance all over it. But then you get to open it and there's that cool little nook. So she's got a cork vial in there, some small ones, some bones. There's a little skull. But see, it just has such a beautiful, like organic is all I can say. Like a very organic vibe. You know, when you talk about like witches and toadstools and potions and bones, I love how she just used all of the botanical elements and even the colors. You know, it has that great like earth tone botanical look. And I think that little bit of, you know, the sewing, the lace, the fabric, the mummy cloth. See how mummy cloth just, oh, it's so good. Just dissolves. Like Paula and I have talked about, like we just want tons of mummy cloth. But there again, you buy it while you have it and then you use it. There you go. Perfect. Love it. Such a clever thing. I don't know if I've ever seen someone take a vignette, put a vignette, but then cover the vignette to make it seem like it's a box, right? Wow. So good. Great job, Stacy. I mean, makers did so many cool things with vignettes this year, like a lot of newness that I haven't really seen. So this next one, Paula did. So I'm just going to leave this for a minute. I will light it up. It has tiny lights, so let's light it up. There we go. Just going to give you a second just to take a look. I mean, curious things indeed. I'm going to move some of these makes down. There we go. Cool. All right. So this one, that's why I wanted you to like look at it from this direction, because this was also a very cool idea for vignettes. Typically with vignettes, this is a tray and these are boxes. Again, at the beginning of the live, we talked about these boxes, so they should be familiar to you. It's a great idea about taking boxes, but see how she moved those in like a little collage, a little juxtaposition. So it's angled out intentionally. I love that. Could this have gone in flat? Yes. But I love how she angled these boxes out. Then she's got this wheel, and does this wheel spin? I saw someone ask. The answer is yes. Take a look at that. How cool is that? You're getting sleepy. You're getting creative. No, you're not getting sleepy. You're getting creative. You're getting inspired. So I do remember, because Paula's like, you're not going to believe this. I found the smallest little Lazy Susans ever. So there is a little Lazy Susan back there. And she's like, you're just going to love this. And she's right. Because if you've seen me with a live, like I am a 5-year-old and I could care less. Will I spin this forever? Probably the rest of the live, unless it leaves my hands.
I'll take it over when you're
but
done.
take a look at that cool layer. And then she's got the moth on there. She used a little hitch fastener as like the little spinner. And I love how she incorporated all of these curious things into this box, right? It's so interactive. I'll keep doing that. So here, there's typography. So remember with typography, it doesn't all have to be like line up. The idea with these letters is to give you a dimensional way to add words. That's what it was, because typically when it comes to letters in ideology, it's usually been stickers or die cuts, but this is why I love typography. And guys, I hope they last more than a year, because it is one of my favorites. Because when you see them used, you saw them used like across Marina's make, where it's really long and it could, or across Luise's make, or you'll see them in a lot of different makes, but even jumbled like this, it's so, the font is perfect. I also love how she went in with like some nails and did some string, made a creepy little web. There's some bubbles back there. Toadstools, there's the entomology. So that's the bug charms. Those are year round. So see, things like entomology that you would expect to come out during Halloween, they're part of the everyday line. But because you don't see them as Halloween, you don't really know they exist. And I love that, makers remember to use stuff like the toadstools. That's in the everyday line. They came out seasonally, but now they're everyday. So don't forget what's in the toy box when you're making. Look at that figure stand. Look at that smiley Jack with a little bit of paint on there rubbed off. I love it. There's one of the cork vials. I love the sellotape on there. That's good, P. It's almost kind of melted on there. That looks really good. Drippy candle. Look how that drippy candle is painted. So you could paint the drippy candles. You don't have to keep them cream. But look at the cauldron. I love how, again, by taking those bubbles and alcohol inking them, then you can just put regular tiny lights. You don't have to do color. But then see all the bubbles are different colors? You've got purple and green and orange. That's because she put regular tiny lights in the cauldron, and then it lights up through the bubbles that are alcohol inked. Isn't that clever? All these ideas, I say so many times, I hope you guys, when you're watching this, or even if you're replay, you're going to go back and take notes of like alcohol ink bubbles, put white tiny lights in there, or clear tiny lights it's so many great ideas. I love the toadstools. Look at that little, see that little skull and crossbones? I loved that little charm. That was new this year. There we had it in the word plaques. But very cool, right? I just can't. Come on. You know it.
You'll
Yeah.
spin it till it don't spin.
Oh my gosh. I love doing stuff. I love interactive stuff. It's really, yeah, it's fun. What a great make, P. Just very, very cool. Oh, I got to look at the back. See? Just elements. Take a collage.
Spin.
See how that's hidden? So you can make a little box for your tiny lights out of paper, because the tiny lights, they have a little, you take them out and they have a little switch right there. So you can switch them on and off. Nice. And you can replace the battery. So that's why you want something you can get to. But yeah, what a great make. Curious things indeed. Oh, we'll spin it the other way once just for fun. There we go. Oh, I love it. Yeah, that's great. All right. Here's another vignette. So this vignette, Richele did. I'm going to turn this on. Here we go. Yep. So Richele did this. So I'll talk about that. So the last one you just saw that Paula did, she had the tray and she worked from the inside, right? So this was kind of her making. She built those boxes going out. She had a little spinner. Richele used the tray as a panel. And then she added another tray on it. So think of like the two trays, you know how they were nested in the package. Think of the two trays as going back to back. So you're using the back and the back, and now you get a whole different scene. That's the beauty of vignettes, that you get to kind of create this one. And I love how Richele created, I mean, just a whole little cool, freaky, haunted garden, if you will. Here we've got some backdrops, little map right in there. And then she's got the typography. Well, I'll tip it to the light. There we go. Haunted Halloween. Richele, it's just fun. I saw the sneak peek and it just made me crack up, okay? So take a look at how she took, there's the column, that's from Conservatory, the figure stand, but the figure stand, we have a figure stand with a hat. That's in the original one. So see how she took the figure stand with the hat, but then put the skull in its place, and then she did a little bow. That little bow is actually ribbon. How fabulous is that? Just that detail right there. It's like, I want to stand with a skull on a stick. Like, so that's the original figure stand because it's the top hat, and I love how it fit the new skulls. She's got a paper doll with the key, the gatekeeper, so he's got the Gothic gates, and that's got the little lock, and even that little chain comes with the gates. She's got tiny lights in there, and she's got the tiny lights, there we go, I'll hold it this way. See how the tiny lights kind of go throughout? So there's so many on the tiny lights, and you can trim them to whatever size you want. But I love how she just has like a little bit of eerie green glow behind things, and then certainly in the cauldron. But in the details, you've got little bottles. I love how she's got that little potion where she put it around the cauldron, just kind of bent it a little bit. Drippy candles. There's some of those, again, those books. And those books are just using the covers from ephemera and making books out of paper. Many tutorials how to make mini books. There's a little skull, the bones, all the little bottles. That's why I showed you all of the apothecary bottles, the cork vials, the tiny cork vials. There's the bouquet of flowers. And then over here, I mean, take a look at the grave, the tombstone, and she's got one of, this is an old adornment. And then I love how he's bringing like a bouquet of poppies. Is that cool? So good. So I said creative storytelling. So you can take things and just do so many different things, but the fact that, and I had to put those together, the fact that Paula used a tray and Richele used a tray in a completely different way, that's what's so neat about having a structure and then build. That to me is like, I love that. And I love how the typography is just really played into creating, especially just the gates on the outside. Great, great make, Richele. So much fun. I love all the makes. All right. So we're getting back into some books. So we're going to do some more books. So this is what I was talking about at the original accordion folio. This was one of our original SKUs before we did other books. This has an accordion of sorts, but it's not the big one that I just shared, but this is the one that's actually called that. This has an interesting book because it's a book that has flaps, but it has a little graduated accordion that comes out of the middle. So that's what the makers use for these next two books. This first one, Marina created this one. So here you can see, again, you start with that main structure. It is gusseted. So even though it's flat packed, it is gusseted. So you can put dimensional things in there. But I love how Marina went in and used the baseboard. She used that kind of boarded up window. She's got a couple of portraits creeping, looking out of the shattered. She even added that additional plank on there. So let's open this up. So this is how, so the book actually opens this way. It opens this way. There's a flap that, oh, cool. There's a flap that comes down. So she used it exactly how it was designed. A flap that comes down, and then this, well, hot dog. She used it exactly as it's designed. So this is an easy tell. So this is the accordion that comes out. So see how the accordion starts wide and then goes skinny? It's very cool because then when you stack it up, you just get all of those layers. So that, the flap, that's the accordion folio. Cool. All right, let's take it through. Wow, normally it's like modified, so I can't really show that. I love how all these little layers and papers, see there's all sorts of cool tags. These are the idea-ology salvage tags. So these are just printed tags. These are already done. They're double-sided printed tags. Then we've got all sorts of photos, little snippets. I do love the angled pocket that's part of that. Here's another tag. I do love that she used these salvage tags. I'll tell you why. Because this is part of the everyday line, these printed tags. They're really great because they already come done. The fact that it's printed on both sides, it allows you just to embellish it. And I think that makes it really cool. And they're all unique in different sizes. So, and that's just part of the everyday. I love the backdrops in there. Love the ephemera. Love how she's holding the sign. I'm going to tuck this back in there. It's a little eyelet. There we go. Then we'll open this flap. So same thing. Is she a little, oh, does she open? Oh, she opens even further. Oh, take a look at that. Very cool. I love how she took those two portraits and cut them and put them together. Whoop, those two photos. I'll put that book there. I love those two photos. That's beautiful. Little condemned tag. Then we've got paper dolls. And then we've got this little flap. So this flap, I mean, you'll see, and maybe in the next make, like, you can close this up. You can even close this up and make it a pocket. I mean, the fact that we just wanted it to be open so it does give you the ease of gluing and cutting paper. Okay, you can stick it all down and you can embellish it without it being assembled. But I love all the details that she has in there. Oh, this is even a little pull out in that pocket, little crow. Then we have the accordion book. And the accordion book, you can see she did both sides of that, so that's really cool. But the fact that it's kind of graduated really allows you to play with a lot of details. So I love this, Marina. I love how she kind of created these little portraits, these little cards. Again, sellotape. These are snippets. These are the number strips. An unfortunate ending, that's clippings. The ephemera. Look at her. Aren't they creepy? They are so creepy, but I love them. I love the little handwriting. There's the layers and ephemera. Look at the eyeball in there. That's cool. He's my favorite. So good. Look at her. I really like the use of these number strips. Now, this is also a lot of the stuff that I put into Tidbits. So this is an idea-ology SKU. These are already printed on paper, but the Tidbits has a lot of elements so you can actually make your own if if there's certain ones that you like and you want more of. Then on the back, so see, it can kind of start like, see, little memorandum. Oh, very cool. I love that little eye in there. She just went and cut out that skull. I love the masquerade. That, so fun. I really like how she used the skull stickers where they're holding the skulls. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is hilarious. So clever. See, when you can get your creep on for Halloween, you are doing it right. Here, she took the heads of these boys, cut them off, had them holding their heads, and put the skulls on there. Let me just give you a moment. That is brilliant. What horrors they had seen. That is awesome. The whole horror of it all. It is so frightening and so scary and horrifying. I think it's so great. Isn't that brilliant? Come on. That's good. I'm holding their own heads. Please. So there you go. You got a mini book that goes in there. That folds there. This folds there. It's just, yeah. It's a, and this can actually, I mean, when you're doing it, like I said, you can cut things off. It doesn't really matter. You can modify it. I love that you can start with a foundation and kind of go into that book. It's just really, really great idea for the accordion folio. So then we have another accordion folio. Marlies created this one. I have a feeling it's modified if I know Marlies. So here, again, all the papers, the stitching, all the threads. So on the front, I love how she did a little ledge. You can just make one out of chipboard. She's got a lock hanging there, a key. There's a drippy candle. You can see some confections in there, a bone, a little bit of black moss. And on the top, can you see? Weird. It is weird. I love that it's weird. And just having the little bouquet flowers. So we're going to open it up. It's got a bow. Oh, it's got a bow and a bow. A double bow. Let's see what we got. All right. So first when we open it, so very much like, okay, so see what I mean? So the flap that opened, she sealed closed and made a pocket. This that folds down, she sealed up. Oh, look at that, with a clothespin. Brilliant. So see how she took a clothespin and because it is gusseted, like you saw in Marina's book, but then glued it. So now this became a pocket. And then the book, yep. So see the accordion book that would normally open, she just glued it shut and then turn it into a pocketbook because it's got all those staggering things. So each one is a different layer of pockets. So see, I just knew it. Same books, but used totally different ways. That's the cool thing to remember about these ideas. So here we've got, we'll just go in on the first page. We've got that great pocket. It's got some just ephemera pieces that come around. And that's the other thing to remember. Like, we spend a lot of time on ephemera and make it cool. So you don't always have to glue it down on something. You can just appreciate its coolness, add a little bit of tape or some ink and just use it as is. It doesn't always have to be glued down. You can just use it just for what it is because it works with a lot of elements. I love that little shattered on the side. The sellotape, look at that. Look at his little hardware eyes. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. That reminds me of like Umbrella Academy, which we're watching. It's very cool. Isn't that neat? I love the tag that comes out with all the threads as a little clip. So let's see if I'm supposed to remove this clip. Nope. Yep. Oh, I see. This is clipped onto this. So this was a card and this was clipped and this is just a hinge clip for cool effect and a little mini clip. I love that. That goes into that pocket. So she added another pocket. And all of these are also stitched because, you know, if you're gluing on paper, you can stitch right through this mixed media. That's very cool. Yeah. I love those eyes. Those are just little screw heads. Then inside, again, another pocket. These pieces come out. So there's little elements. I love it. She put a little mask on the moth, little witch hat. That's just cool. Look at that little witch hat just sitting on the corner of the ephemera. They don't have to go on people's heads. That's just an element. That's very cool. I love that detail. And then we've got this guy. I mean, just really, look at him. We loved his hair. And Paula and I saw him. She's like, the hair is perfect. I'm like, I agree. Then we've got this. So again, that book, this is something that she just stitched closed. You could stitch it closed or glue it closed. And then we've got just layers of pockets where all these little tags and ephemera pieces can come out because you've got that kind of zigzag element. But I love how she really just used ephemera for what it is. Like, add the piece, add a little bit of tape, maybe do some sewing, just use it. That's great. Most important thing about ideology is using it. I know there's a lot of collectors and you can have a collection, but also use some of that collection because that's what makes it even better. Because I'm with you, I like to collect it too. What a cool book. So different, right? Seeing both of those books. And yeah, I mean, Paula, if you strategize this, well done. If not, still well done. Because I love that we have,
Well done.
yeah, because I love that we have like a couple of each different type of book, just used so different. So this one again was the accordion folio. Great work. It's cool. I love that. I'm sure she has something to do with it. Paula is like amazing in what she does with her coordinating. She's got so many irons in the fire to get all these makes just so. All right, moving some things down the row. We still have some more makes. We're more than half, but we have a lot of stuff. So here are these next ones. Now look at this little set. So Zoe created these. I'm going to just turn on. They have tiny lights. That's tiny lights. This has tiny lights. So these are vignette box. So I'll talk about this. I just thought that was it's a good idea. I've not seen anyone do this, but I think it's really a great idea. So these are designed, you can display them, you know, they stand up. These are just two different size vignette boxes, the rectangles, but I always show them on camera sitting down, and Zoe put tiny lights behind them, just a little hole. So she made these little stands just using foam tape, like foam tape and a little piece of chipboard, right? So now they actually sit flush instead of, because typically it would sit on the tiny lights and wobble during the live, and now they both sit flat. But this is a great idea if you wanted to incorporate tiny lights, but you wanted your vignette to actually sit flat, because maybe you want these to like sit on a table this way where people can look down on it. I think that was just a good idea. I know she did it for live, but I saw that and I'm like, that's just a good idea, that if I was doing a vignette that maybe I'm going to make almost like a little grave plot where I have something standing up and I have little bits inside. That's a good idea to have little feet to cover the tiny light. So she uses some little ideology mini hardware. But I like this idea because I think the important thing to remember about vignettes is they can be as complex, right? Multi-boxes with a little lazy Susan spinner, or they can just be an idea where you take a box and you tell a story. And that's what she did. She happened to make two, but they're totally different stories, different themes. And it's very rewarding. It's a great kind of start to finish. So here, these are just the ideology backdrops. So that's why we do cigar papers and stuff to make it look like an old wood box. You can leave it as is. She's got the drippy candles, the new little skulls. She put one of those stickers in a frame. This is an ideology ornate frame, so we actually sell these metal frames in the everyday line. There is a little cauldron with the bubbles and the broom, and I just think like the sticky, twiggy, wispy broom, just, it's very cool to have. I mean, and that's why makers stock up on brooms too, because they've kind of changed each year to have something different, and I love the idea. So if you're a little intimidated or you're just unsure of how to get started, get a box and just start telling that story in the box. And then that'll have you do another box, and then the box might go into a tray, and you can just go and really just add some interest. Oh my gosh, I just noticed this. This is a classic piece. So you see this hand, this big grippy hand holding the bottle? I'll hold that close. See those fingers? That's old school ideology. That's a zombie hand. We actually did two of them Halloween years ago. I love that she incorporated that. These are very cool. They're made out of resin. They could like come out from the wall and hold things, or come up from the ground. So she put a tiny vial in there. There are some cork vials, drippy candles, but I love how she's got the lights like behind the bottle, so it lights up the whole bottle. She used some clear crackle on the glass. Can you guys see that? Where it just looks all crackled and alcohol inked. Very cool. This is a test tube. This is what I was saying about those glass test tubes that retired. Those are very cool to use. And then at the top, we've got more tiny bottles. There's another little spider. There's some skulls. And there's a little, these are like little books kind of twisted up, the apothecary. So see, it's like a whole story of like, this is a little witchy whoo, and this is an apothecary. Like very, very cool. It's good. Yeah, every time I say the word retired, I hear someone saying, please have them bring it back. It just won't happen. It just doesn't. They were very cool though. I agree. They were cool. I mean, look, getting new stuff is one thing, and getting them to bring back old stuff is really a challenge. But there they are with the lights off too. I think that you can appreciate, you know, when you do the work, it doesn't always have to be lit up, but if you like tiny lights, it's for the win. Great job, right? So cool. All right. So next up, Stacy created this vignette. So sometimes when it comes to creating a vignette, the vignette can just be a solid object. So now that I saw her tray and I get it, I'm not surprised of what she did here. Took a vignette box, but now it's completely enclosed, if you will. Doesn't have anything that you open or do anything or light up. It's just a great foundational piece. I love how she put it on a piece of wood. So this could just be an extra piece maybe from a vignette, but this is kind of like an ode to Poe. But the details of it are just, it's exquisite. She did a lot of stitching and sewing. She's got that photo of Poe in there. There's some moss, all that sewing. There's the urn. So we see the urn with like the dead flowers. These are ideology bouquet that you can paint or ink. It's really cool. I just see like side hustle about getting like extra, buying extra seasonal. A lot of people do that. I don't blame you. There are the gates. I love how she used one of the gates over here and then the other gate over here. So it really just kind of has the shrine look. There is a column from Conservatory. There's the skull. I told you the toothy guy, you're going to see him used. He's just funny. I love how he looks because his teeth are just so big. And you can alter the skulls. I mean, I've seen makers use alcohol ink or paint or crayon. You can do any of those. And then we've got that whole story on the top. So there's the raven, and there's more of those little ephemera books tied up, little paper, the bottles. Isn't that great? And then, I mean, and the back is finished. It's just paper, and I love how it's kind of busted through with some moss. But you see all the little stitching? So you can just really get, it's almost like a book has just kind of, like that's what this reminds me of. It's like that the whole thing was a book and it's just kind of unraveled and his story is spilling out. I don't know if that was her intent, but I love the whole look of it. That's just taking an idea or a theme and running with it. That's what it is. So good. Amazing. Amazing. All right. This next one, let's see, does it? Yep. I always feel for the back, see if it's tiny lights. Vicki did this, and I think it's always cool when, you know, there's all different styles of makers, and Vicki is just the one that's like, forget thinking outside the box, just never mind the box, pun intended. she's always taking structures and like deconstructing to reconstruct, if that makes sense. This is a vignette square box. So just take a look at just the work on the vignette itself. So this is using, these are the strips that we have in ephemera this year. These are from Worn Wallpaper. It's a favorite, so I think we incorporated several in the Halloween this year. But I love how she just stitched them on, where it just talks about like join here. So she covered the edges with that. Then she's got like some mummy cloth just kind of tied around. Then she's got just some nails, just rando nails, just gonna hammer in a nail here, leave it rusty. I'll hammer in a nail and tie some mummy cloth on it. And I don't know if this was, no, I was gonna say, I don't know if this was supposed to go across. No, she made it look like this one was, and this one kind of ripped through in true Vicki style. Okay, so before I light it up again, look at the back. Can you see the skull? So there's an actual skeleton skull in the background that's like peering through the glass. And the glass is so, inside is so creepy. It's got the gate. Oh, there's that, see, there's that leaf again. There's that branch that we talked about at the beginning of live. There's that cool little branch on the gate. Then she added a lot of great metallic touches to this. I'm not sure if she used foundry wax or mixatives or alloys or her own combo, but I love how all of the elements from the new little urn to the gravestones to the gate, there's even a little sign back there, the baseboard. It all has like this grungy metallic vibe to it, even down to the skulls. So even though these all have very distinct different finishes, I love how she kind of went in and just made it all look metallic-y and then just gave it a green, eerie glow. So the tiny lights don't always have to be a bubbling cauldron. It doesn't. It could just be for effect. But they're all, there we go. I'll hold that closer so you can see what I mean about the metallic look of everything. She even did that to the bones inside there. The sign, again, there, the skulls, the toadstools. I mean, it's such a cool effect. But yeah, when you see that eerie skull, the positioning of it is so creepy cool. So that's an idea of taking a vignette, taking a reliquary dome because it's flat and it fits inside there. Isn't that cool? That's a very, very cool thing to do. And I love that whole metallic vibe that she gives everything. Fabulous, right? So good. Even how she did a little beware on that tombstone. But yeah, glass in a box. So creepy cool. See, some people really can get their creep on. I love that. Get your creep on. Okay. We're going to do a couple more books. This is kind of the last of the books, and then we're going to finish up with a few more vignette pieces. Let me get some of this moss off the table. There we go. So this one really isn't a book kit, though. It is a SKU that we launched in May. These are folders. These are the Folio folders. Talked about this when Cheiron did her cards. Okay, so these are just little mini file folders. They're two different sizes. These are done out of mixed media heavy stock, if you're familiar with that stuff from Ranger. So these could be inked and collage and all of that. But what they also do is they make great structures. So a couple of makers created books using those or incorporated that in their book. So this first one, Suzy did. So this is something where, again, they're taking their book skills, whether they're sewing, doing spines, all of that, but the pages are folders, which is really great. So Suzy did this. There's some fabric on there. I love how she took those baseboard planks and kind of used that as a brace for the spine. This is some of the new laboratory fabric. I love all of the mummy cloth kind of sewn in the photos. This, you can see that baseboard piece. I love those two sticker photos peeking through, and peculiar and curious things. It's just kind of like how they're locked in. I love the little padlock. See, that's why you want a whole pack of lock and keys, because you don't necessarily need the gates, but we've already covered that. Okay. All right, so when I open this up, it's just got a little string closure right here. Take a look at this. So these are all the pages, again, just done as folders, but look at all the cool, fun freak in here. This is a pocket. Yep. So that pulls out. Just all these great tags. And look at how she just took those stickers. Oh, that's cool. Can I take these out? Oh yeah, look at that. Oh, that's so cool. Okay. So she's got these tags. I'm figuring out in real time. There's collage paper. So she took that sticker photo, she's got the end, but wrapped it around. So then when you have the other side, it's got that little bit of mask. Isn't that cool? Same thing with her. Got that. and that little bit of a mask. Very, very cool. Isn't that neat? So it's the same photo, but just when adding that little mask sticker. Wow, that's very, very cool. I love that. Here you can see we've got that guy kind of looking through the doorway, watching and waiting. Got this little bat. He's about ready. Take him over right there. Watching and waiting. He's the one that holds the key. I just think it's so neat, all of these little layers and stories. There's a little spider. Something come out of this? Oh my gosh, he comes out. See? It's like a little spider on a string, and you just pull it, and there's that little tag. So you don't have anyone waiting behind the door. Very cool. That's great. I love these little charms, just things to pull out. So it gives you all the ideas to use. Then we've got the gravekeeper. There's that skull. I love that. We've got the eye poked out. There's a little face back there, you see? Man, makers are really getting creep this year, and I love it. I do. That's just cut out in a photo put back there. I mean, come on. That is very, very good. All right. The skeleton contains 206 bones. Oh, see? You see that little arrow? She's totally helping me. I would have never done that. Is that a closure? Oh, shut up. Shut the front door. Look at that. Well, I saw a little arrow, and you know me. If there's an arrow, I'm just going to follow it. That's cool. Do you see that little closure? So there's a little arrow. That's a die cut. I know that's from Sizzix. I think that's from Vault. But we've got this little guy with the bat, most unusual with his wings. But then that was just like it turned. This is that baseboard sign. What a great idea for a book closure. And then we open up another one of those folders, and now we got this creeper in there. Isn't he cool? Yeah, he's a great piece. He's from, I think he's in Layers this year. Yeah, an eccentric but very estimable gentleman. And just that piece of shattered. Oh, so good. A little sparkle on the back. See, you wouldn't think you can incorporate sparkle. Yes, you can, because it is subtle goodness. I love all of these little layers, these pieces. That's just cool. That little sign, that was just, come on. Then we got another piece there again. And so this is kind of like a pull through. So see this whole little, this one's got a whole strip right there. Elmira is a curious woman. There she is. Those little lace pieces, those are just paper. That's from Ephemera. I love it with the spiders too. And then we've got this little pocket. Oh, I love how the transparency is just used as like, you know, like what you would see on a card, but just used as a little book cover. See how that's done? And then it's just stitched on. That's cool. Little collage book in there, little mini book. This would be perfect for a little Starbucks gift card, little pumpkin spice latte card in there. There you go. Clever. Yeah, soon. Very cool. So this, of course, if you see the pocket and you see the little card, that was using those file cards that when I showed you Paula's make using the vignette. So they don't have to work in the vignette. Obviously, I wanted to talk about how they were sized to fit that vignette card file. But see, the nice thing about having that library pocket made is you just cover it with paper, or the fact that you already have these cut down, you can just add your elements and put it in there. So yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, and there you go. Spectacles, that's from one of the backdrops. But see all that mummy cloth right there? See, it's just like, just shred it and just stitch right through it. Or threads, or you can get that creepy cloth. I mean, there's so many cool things. Definitely peculiar and curious things. All right, great job, Suzy. That was good. All right, this next one, I dare to open, I must say, because there's hair and all sorts of stuff in this one, but that just is. That is just what we're going to see. So this one, this is from Luise. So like I said, I'm never really surprised, but I will be when I'm about to open it. But I was surprised by this when I put it on. I'm like, is this hair? It's like little, you know, like troll hair, like animal fur. But then I figure it's like hair for the people, maybe. So we'll start with this book. So again, this is done out of folders. So using that as more of the pages, but obviously you have to kind of construct the book, okay? So here you've got a clipboard. So I love that she just took the clipboard and clearly cut it down. So this is still the clipboard that I talked about at the beginning, but it's really cut down to size. If you have a saw and you got skill, you can cut it to whatever size you want. But then she used that as the opening, so she kind of has her behind that baseboard. There's a little bit of a shelf here. There's some candy, some confection, some bones. It says beware, and then eek. Oh my gosh. Last year was the year of the eek. We haven't seen that so much. So we got eek and that's on the sign. So there's typography in motion. All right. So now we open it. It's like a heavier cover. Oh my gosh. So already in true Luise style, see what I was saying about hair? So now we've got the sticker. There's his hair. He's got feet from a paper doll. There's just the translucent moths and the gravekeeper. There's some fabric. So that's some of the abandoned fabric. And I love how she's got like the bone in his hair. That's just, look at that. See? I can play with that all day. Hilarious. So crazy, clever, creepy, cool. Then we go, again, I love how she did the little skull flowers. So she used flowers in her last make where she just die cut the white flowers. So now she just went in, did wildflowers, but then she took all those skull stickers and made them as skull flowers. Brilliant. Paper dolls with the top hats. It's like they're doing a little show. It's like a little puppet show right there with the little pointy finger. Step right up. It's like enter if I dare. Oh my gosh, look at that. So now we've got a page. There's the guy with the eye. There's part of that little sticker. Does this come out? Yeah. Oh, cool. So this is just like a little half turn, little layer, and he's through the shadow, but he comes out. So see, isn't that a cool piece? I love this one. It's a bit gross, but I love it. It's gross cool. I'm happy we put it in. We weren't sure. I'm like, is it too much? Nah, it's not too much. Oh, so here she just made a pocket. So look at that. So she made a pocket out of that shadow transparency and just cut a slit. I wonder where this came from. I think it just comes from, yeah, so she just cut a slit into that transparency. Let's see if I can get that tag back in. There we go. I think that's where it goes. Yes, yes, no, yes, yes. Ah, there we go. And he goes right back in there, peeking through the shadowed. All right. Next page. Oh, look at him. Look at him with his hair coming out of his hat. Cool. With the moth and the key. I love the black texture paste. Oh, and then you open it. I love that corridor. That's such a great piece because it just gives such a haunting illusion. That's in the layers. And again, just using the sticker photo and then paper doll legs because again, those are like mug shots. That's very cool. A wonderful secret. So many makers use the moths in different ways. Right side up, upside down. Just very cool. Suzy's book coming out. There's the tiny attacher I was talking about. Just stapling it. That's very cool. I love the paper dolls and the baseboard windows. Then we've got a whole little moth society here. These are all stitched through. So you can see tiny attacher or sewing. I love all these creative options. Some texture paste and just these are all the other halves of probably all the feet that we've seen, just the top half. So I like how she's got them kind of popping out behind the moth wings. That's cool. See, it's just half a body. Clever. Tiny attacher for the win. You can attach a lot of stuff. Then we've got this guy, the hallowed spot. He's got a little skirt on. There's the moth. Love the clips in there, the transparency. The detail, the amount of detail makers put into these books, like, it's just amazing. But you can just, if you get into that creative mode, you can just go crazy and nothing is too off limits, especially during Halloween. But you can just create such clever things. I love the bricks. Oh, I love how she used like the mug shots against that brick, this black and white brick. This is one of the idea-ology backdrops. That's the paper. Then she used all the little bits of ephemera, the shake well. I love him. I love the moths over his eyes. Just really creepy. To be regretting. Dreadfully wicked. See, and again, more of that hair. Can you see the hair? And she has the hair coming out underneath the witch hat. Gosh, so clever. Oh, look at this. Oh, this is a whole little. So this is the perspective moth die, or the perspective butterfly right here. That's the die cut that she used, and then she's got the transparent moth inside. What a cool addition. What a cool surprise page, because it was just kind of flying out. That's beautiful. I love the little bit of that's glazed in there, so you can see the distress little. You can use glaze or glossy accents to get a little shine. I love this. Then we got another page again with the transparencies. Just seriously, I can't even. I just can't. You got to just style that hair when you see it. It's really funny. But having those photos, it's so So clever, so cool, so creepy, and so fun all at the same time. That's the joy of just making. And each one of these, you can see it's like a signature of these little file folders that she's made for this book, changing the different sizes and using it. Oh my gosh, look at her with the mask and the little spider nose, almost like a clown nose, and the witch hat. And then again, sparkle that you wouldn't think. See, Suzy surprised us with it, and Luise surprised us with it. Like, it just shows up in unexpected places, because even if you're not a glitter person, it just adds because it just looks like the regular paper, but then when the light hits it, it just gives it that, well, almost mystical vibe. That's why I really wanted it for Halloween. It's cool. And then the back, there you can see all those baseboard planks used, and the dead of night. What a cool book, right? A cool book out of file folders. Who knew? Amazing. So brilliant. All right. We're in the home stretch. You have a few more. Not many. We're good. Guys doing all right? Hope so. So this one Vicki did. I think it's very creepy cool. You know, everybody's Halloweens are a little different. Some are, you know, whimsy and trick-or-treat and candy, and some are just really cool hocus-pocus vibe. So Vicki took a vignette tray, so this is the small tray, and then she used a square vignette box, that's this, and then the box is just flipped over, so she's using the back of the box, okay? So it's a small tray with a smaller box inside, and then it kind of creates a divided box. I think that's really a clever way to approach it. So here I just love her color scheme, where she used a small dome with a little collage paper inside, those red drippy candles, how she painted them red. There's our little owl figure stand. I love that. I love how she painted the cat red, just to go with her color theme. Just really creepy, and I think it's great. I love how she tied the bones together and then added that little crossbone charm. There's the chain and the key from the Gothic gates, because you don't always have to put the lock and key on the gate. You can still save that little chain and key for something else. But if you look at the outside of this, she's got these baseboard planks, just a couple of them hammered on. So again, these are the tack nails. These are idea-ology. They're tiny little nails, but they look like they're hand forged because, well, they are. They're this metal. It's a little softer metal, but you can still hammer it in with a hammer, and then it dents these nails and bends them and just creates the most realistic look. And because they're not long, you can hammer right into structures like canvas or board. Then we've got this condemned for witchcraft, and I love how she's got the F backwards. There's a little broom. There's the lock. The key was up there. She's got a couple of skulls, but you can just envision like she's condemned, so she's like put behind, like locked in this box. There's that metal frame, little 31, and again, it's all about these nails and how she used the nails through all of these baseboard planks, and they're just kind of just going in like they're trying to bust out. Isn't that just, I mean, it's creepy, but it's creepy wicked cool. It just is. It's a really great idea. And even if you're not into the theme or the style, so I always say, like, don't be all Judge and McJudge out there. Like, put down the gavel, Judge Judy. This is about taking ideas for what it is and saying, hey, you know what? I love the idea of the planks with the nails. I love the idea of tying in the bones. It doesn't mean you have to like the idea or not, or maybe you love all of it and you're going for it. So I think that's what's so fun about what these makers share and how they share it. They just share it, and they have a story, and they're going to tell it. And I think that is brilliant, right? So love it. Really cool. All right. Speaking of really cool, I'm always, and this is not to put pressure on Tami B, because I think Tami B she's Tami B. She's going to put the pressure on herself. But every year she makes something that I've just never seen. I think last year was like Pirates of the Caribbean theme. This year there's like this haunted hearse. So at a top level, you're like, I don't really know what that is, but I'm going to turn it sideways. But this is really like a treat keeper. So on the top of this, you're going to see that there are all of these little coffin boxes. And these coffin boxes, these are using the new coffin die from Sizzix. So she used the backdrops. Look at that paper. Look at that black lace. Isn't that cool? Then she used these little paper bands and used the idea-ology bouquet. But she created all these little treat boxes, and inside she's got just some little, I don't know what it is. What is this? Oh my gosh. You remember these? Those things that, like, they're sticky things. Oh, hilarious. So she's got little things. Here happens to be a little sticky skeleton. And then Oh, a little, does it work? I don't know. What is it? Oh yeah, look, it's a little bling ring. Oh, come on. Little party favors. But I love how she incorporated little favors into the coffin box. Well, he's great because he just fits in there. He's going to fit no matter. Those are cool. I need to find out where you get those, Tami. I love those little jelly skellies. I don't know what they're called, but I would call it a jelly skelly if they were mine. All right. And then just covered with a paper band. So this really holds these boxes. So on the top, so if you were doing like a Halloween party, you can fit that. And this is the lid that she used some Etcetera trim, and then I'll tip it so you can see what it is. But I have to take the boxes out to do it. All right. So far, so good. Then we turn it, and this is really what it is. It is a little hearse. I know there's tiny lights. There's tiny lights in here. So let me light it up. There we go. So this is the Deathy Sweet Shop. When we were coming up with words, I just wanted to do something really old school. So like shop with the SHOPPE. I know like that's in Europe. Like I love that. And Deathy was just a cool way, instead of saying deathly or deadly, because it's not, it's candy. It's just Deathy Sweet Shop. And this is one of the baseboards. And I love how Tami took vignettes and made this like hearse element. She's got the pulley wheels. So these are idea-ology pulley wheels that she painted. She attached them. Then she used the door for the back. I mean, come on. It's crazy, right? And then she used all of the little tiny vials, and there's the fringe. So she just has the fringe just coming out like little adornments. She's got these mummy cloth curtains inside, and I'm going to tip it. There you go. So you can really appreciate the inside. Inside is another coffin box, but this one is open and full of bones. She's got candy sticks wrapped up. She's got the figure stands. There's the cat. There's the jack. She's got a dome back there with the skulls like I was showing you. There's a little candle stand. There's a jar full of the little mints. Then she used, this is from the Adornment Sweetheart SKU. So this is the SKU we launched this year, like with the hearts and everything. I love how she made this little cool thing. Like, I'm so excited because it's so like Disney to me, and I love Disney, and Tami loves Disney, and like I see these details, I'm like, you need to work for Disney. This is one of her great little tricks. This is using the Adornment silverware. So we do this in idea-ology. It's a little fork, a little knife, a little spoon. I use a little spoon for glitter, but you know, years ago she did this, and like she does it every year. She incorporates it in some new make, but she did these they're like little sconces. There's one there, there's the fork, and then she's got the other one there, and she put the little drippy candles. But then she's got those tombstones kind of painted in the back. I love these little details. And there's just that metallic trim. I mean, come on. This candy hearse is like, it's crazy, right? It's just like when you see it, I could just never envision, oh, look at that. Oh, seriously, those are the knives. So she used the knives just to kind of attach that little footboard right there. Because, you know, when you go in the Haunted Mansion, they have that like ghost hearse, and so cool. But what a great way to incorporate. I mean, the box was already fabulous, but then to make it like, oh, I'm going to do a treat holder. Come on. Deathy Sweet Shop for sure. I mean, Tami B, wowza. Amazing. All right. So as I mentioned, thanks Mario. Sure. Tami B has always inspired me. Always. So last year I made this. This was one of the makes, I think maybe it was for the everyday idea-ology. I took an idea-ology clipboard. I took a vignette box. I was inspired by Paula, who did like these little windows, and I made what I called the Cabinet of Curiosities. Okay, I just took one of the word plaques. I did this little busted shelf, and oh, there's the bird cage. So I made this just because I don't have a lot of time to make. I wish I had way more time just to be creative, but I'm always inspired by the makers, and I think it's so important to, you know, everybody has something to contribute, but if you're inspired by something you see, you just say it. I was inspired by the windows. I was inspired by this. There's nothing wrong with that. But I really loved making this because it was so crazy cool, and I've always wanted to make one for Halloween. And so I said to Mario, even though I had a crazy week this week, I'm like, I am going to make a Halloween version of my little Cabinet of Curiosities. That's just what I want to do. Why? Because in 2020, 4 years ago, Tami B made this candy ideology make for Halloween. And it was an apple, and I'm going to show you the apple. And I could not stop thinking about that. And I'm like, I'm going to make an apple. And that's all I cared about was making the apple. And I wanted to make something around it. And I loved making this because it was so freeing and people really love the wonky shelf. So my point is that you can always find inspiration in an everyday make or something you've made before and give it a seasonal spin. Nothing wrong with that, okay? So I did the same clipboard. Now I added one of those great little seals. I did the paper, and this is my cabinet. So it is a vignette box. I use the Halloween backdrops. I love that wood plank paper for the inside. I took the Halloween windows. So they're slightly different. These are the regular baseboard windows that kind of have a little arch. These are arched, but they're squared, and they were actually perfect. And more importantly, the perfect size to also add those gates. So I took the chipboard. This is an idea that Paula shared. You have to use a craft knife, but it's like you cut around the window frame, you cut down the middle, and you take out the windows and you switch them because you want all the art facing the right way. The little Gothic gates, they fit in perfect, so I added the shattered as my glass little window, and then I glued those on so it's like an iron gate. I also did the Deathy Sweet Shop because, again, when I saw this whole concept, that's really why we wanted to do a Deathy Sweet Shop. And then when Tami did a make using the same thing, I'm like, meant to be. So inside, there's my Jack. He's got all sugary candies. There's a bottle full of sugary, everything is sugary candy corn. So this is just glossy accents and rock candy. I did little sugar skulls. I took the skulls right out of the package, a little glossy accents, threw it in rock candy. There's a little cat in there. I don't know if you can see in the back. You see a little skull and crossbones? I'll show you at the bottom. Oh, there's the eyeball. So remember the mini flare that I showed you at the beginning of live, the Halloween flare that was discontinued? A lot of those came from ephemera. So I used the ephemera piece in there, and then I used the flare right on top of it. And it just, I don't know, it made it really cool. I added a little spider, but I added some glitter to him. So a little purple because I need a sugary spider. I've got, you can't really see in the jar. You'll see in the picture on my blog, but there's little bones in there. There's sugar bones. Then look at the creepy eyes. They're sugared as well. So glossy accents, rock candy, and I put them in a cage. How did I get them in the cage? The back of the cage, I cut off 2 bars, and I stuck all the eyeballs facing the right way and glued it down. Another sugar skull, and there, my friends, is the apple. The candied apple with drippy caramel that she has a tutorial for on her blog, and that is using the Idea-ology pumpkins. That is why I wanted to stock up on pumpkins, because they make the best little candied apple. You take a pumpkin, you paint it, you add a little wooden stick on the top. Now, she dipped it in vintage distress collage medium. Now, I happen to have a jar, but Mario, could you, on my spinner, sure, if you go down to the bottom where the mediums are, it's probably going to see it on the top. This is a SKU, literally, I've been holding on to that product for years, and it's been discontinued, and I was just hoping that it would still be good, and it was. This is the stuff, okay? This is Distress Collage Medium. It's called Vintage, and it's this tinted stuff, and that's what she's like, you just dip it in and it creates caramel. But this was discontinued, but I'm going to tell you how it's made. This is just using Distress Collage Medium, the matte, and it's tinted with antique linen re-inker. That's exactly how they make it in the lab. They use antique linen. So even though it looks dark and it looks like, I'm not saying you can't use other colors, but that's what they use, and you just get the right amount of antique linen to get that dark caramely look. But you just add a little re-inker because you want it to be translucent to your collage medium. If you don't have this, mix it up, make it in like a little, I don't know, I just use the lid of, I think, a water bottle, and then you dip the apple and you let it dry. You have to set it on a non-stick craft sheet so you get that extra drip. It takes about a day to dry, which was totally worth it, and look at that. So Tami B, thank you for the inspiration. I'm so happy I got to make an apple. I really loved it. But I'm saying, like, if I was going to make this, would I use antique linen? I don't know. I mean, I think we have so many great colors. I'd probably try it with, like, I don't know, maybe brushed corduroy might be. I don't know. You try it out. But then in the back, I did some little gumballs, a little drippy candle. But I had a blast making this because, one, I loved making this one. So, you know, as a maker, when you love making something and you think, oh, I love making that. Well, don't sell yourself short that you can't make it again. Make it again. This way you don't even have to think of the structure. But theming it, I got to do all the things that I loved to do. I loved that idea of using the windows, and I love the idea of sugaring stuff. And Tami B did sugar eyes in hers. She just put those, I think, maybe in a jar, and I wanted mine in a cage. She did sugar skulls, but hers were, you know, purple and green in color, and I just love the idea of rock candy because I love all the finishes. I just wanted it kind of sugary, and even my confections are all sugar. So I had a really good time making, and that's what I wanted to say, that be inspired by people around you. And hold on to those ideas. Like I said, that apple was 4 years old, but I wrote it down and I didn't forget it. I'm like, I'm gonna make a freaking apple, and I'm gonna put something in it.
That apple.
This is my and I only made one because I just wanted to make one to make sure it worked, and then I'll probably go make more. All right, we're gonna finish up with one more make that Paula created, because you know, when you see it, you gotta start small before you end with the big wazoo, which is taking all of those ideas that you've seen throughout the live. And each idea, as you've seen, could be an individual element. We saw with Zoe and Stacy's boxes that you can just take a box and make an idea. But as your story progresses, don't be afraid to put them together. Don't be afraid to tell a bigger story. You don't have to start this way, but you can definitely do that. So Paula used so many different vignettes. So you can start like with the center being the divided drawer. Then she took all different shapes and sizes of vignette boxes and glued all of them together. So when you see the back, those are all the boxes used. So you don't have to use the shelves in there. They're still great structures. And gluing these all together really allows us to kind of peek into her imagination a bit. She's got some green tiny lights throughout that cast a shadow. But in here, she did this little vignette with a baseboard frame. She's got her little sign right there. There's the cobwebs. The boys are in there. But in the back is that one corridor. Remember that like long hallway that I showed in one of the earlier makes? So in the daylight, when you see it, it looks like this like never-ending hallway that's inside here. Then if you go up here, it's like a crazy little attic scene where the window's busted out and you've got moths flying in and out. I love how she used the wood planks and just added those planks over the windows. And then of course inside she's got, you know, little insects in there, a drippy candle, because why not? It's a ledge, fill it with something. I love the attic where she used the drapery. You can go in and tint those colors. So the same way you tint paper dolls, she went in and colored those. There's a couple of those nails. I love when the makers use the tack nails. There's a little dome. Her library of books. Isn't that fabulous? With just, and you could paint over. I mean, here she just took that window. This was a 3-pane window, and she cut it off and altered it. So there, it's chipboard. You can totally cut that. Then she's got the door. There's a little keeper. So I love how she took the paper doll and added the little chain and the key. And so she's got the shattered little eye peeking through that asylum door. We go down here. She's got this vignette, and of course this is like brick paper around, so it just looks like stone. That's one of the ephemera frames. Here's just more of a little graveyard scene. There's a wonderful urn of flowers back there. The tombstone, time long passed away, some drippy candles, some flowers, and then like inside here in the middle is like a crypt. So first just take a look at this trim. So this trim is a piece of ephemera. It's that lace. You saw it in some of the previous makes. But see how she glued it on the curve? So it just looks like, I don't know, like a little awning that goes around. She used that silhouette ephemera, and then inside here, like take a look at this column, and then she's got the urn and like just the dead stuff just pouring out of it. The flowers, the moss. Inside the gate, there's crypt paste. So grit paste crypt where she's got the gate open, and it's just like a haunting little conservatory. And then she's got farewell, and that's from one of the clippings. Like, what a great, haunting, fabulous story when it comes to ideology. I think that is what is so great about this release for Idea-ology Halloween.